They'll pick up a Ringmaster. And you tell me, John X Fire, as the most unbiased caster in SCA, do you favor Talon, who, you know, have provided you with a sponsor, an org name, I guess, or Team Nemesis, who are 5 Filipinos, John? Who are we rooting for?
I mean, rooting for... I have an open mind.
Filipinos.
You know, I'd be happy enough to see either side win. Who I think is going to win, I'm not sure. That's where I'm very uncertain about, because I've heard things, again, Nemesis and Scrims, they've shown up. And the results, well, you know, I can't really reveal that data, but the results are impressive. And that worries me up against Talon. So we'll have to see if they maintain that, or if Talon managed to figure things out from the interim period here. As the draft is underway, we've already got some of the picks coming out. This is a doubling down here on Talon. Kunkka plus Slark plus Oracle. A lot of defensive supports, decent enough offense as well in a certain way. Their catch isn't the best, but they have some of it. Most reliable feels like X, but Pounce is there. There's the Root as well coming in with Edict, so you can kind of make that work. But this is a very tanky draft. You have the boat, you have False Promise, you have all the healing, you have the Depth Shroud as well. There's so much that you have to consider here on the side of Nemesis. At the least for Nemesis, they do have some AoE, right? Wheel of Wonder into Depth Shroud can kind of work. A Pangolier with a roll can kind of work as well. They're keeping their options open. This could be a Raven Pango, or it could be a Mac Pango as well. It really depends on which way you want to go in the draft. There's still a few big options left for someone like Mac. The DP is still in there if they'd want that. Although, whether or not you'd actually want to pick it and how tanky they are, you will. They'll take the Death Prophet, they'll take the Shadow Shaman as well. So very stable hold coming out here from the side of Nemesis. A good way of catching out. My concern is they don't really have a lot of burst. Mind you, neither does Talon just yet. But I feel like the durability of Talon's a little bit scarier than the durability on Nemesis right now. Like, yes, this Death Prophet can stay alive for a long time. Pango's not easy to pin down. You don't have debuff immunity Pierce to keep the Pangolier in place. But once you get that shard on your Slark, and once you get the levels on your Oracle, and even his own shard, again, with how healing amplification works, it could be a little bit problematic here for Nemesis in a drawn-out fight. They can handle it as well, but I think Talon handles it better with these picks so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Talon, I'm thinking POS 1s right now. It looks like a TB game if you ask me, for the side of Talon. So the thing is, Terrorblade, I have Skadi gets up, but Death Prophet can't do anything. That's generally how it goes. I imagine Talon are considering a Terrorblade pickup here for Savage. We shall see. Maybe they pick up WS's here. Oh, well, WS could be on the Kunkka. We'll find out. They're going to go for the Storm for now. That should be the Makoto Storm, so I imagine it will be a WS Kunkka, or it could be a 23 Savage POS 1 Kunkka.
Mm-hmm. They've done it a few times. I think it works out, but you're scaling. Again, there's still damage issues as well for Talon. They can take a prolonged fight. Will they win out in output? I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like it. You have more damage coming in from your supports here on Nemesis than you do on Talon, especially with the Slark. The Oracle maybe can pump out some damage, but it's not as impressive as, say, Shadow Shaman and Ringmaster in this case. So I think Talon has to consider their options and consider what they want to be able to achieve when, say, a 5v5 comes out. I think looking at pickoffs, it could be fine, but chances are, with how tanky they are, you're also not going to be bursting anyone down. So you want some scaling damage. Kunkka can kind of do that, even on POS 1, sure, but it has to have a good lane, and you're not quite sure yet which way your lane will go. Like, again, you could flex a Raven onto DP, you could give Mac the Pango still, and you could still look for a harder scaling hero here for Akashi on Nemesis. So they're keeping it a lot more open on Nemesis. They can kind of figure things out faster, and Talon have to go into it a little bit blind. They have first pick. They're going to have to show what they'd want to probably go into the safe lane here for sure. And Nemesis can just adjust accordingly, depending on how the matchups go. So it's a little bit easier for Nemesis to close out this draft. For Talon, a bit of a challenge. Like, let's say you run POS 1 Kunkka. You lane into Pango, it's fine. You lane into DP, it's still sort of fine, but say level 3 Death Prophet, level 2 Crypt Swarm, 1 Siphon can be a bit of a threat. There is enough output there. You can try to regen through with your Oracle, sure, but it's not a lane that you necessarily completely win out on. And then DP hits 6 and the tower pressure is insane. So yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge for Talon. What gimme picks do they have left? They do lose the Lycan gimme pick for WS.
You're just assuming it's a 23 Savage Kunkka now, then?
No, I'm saying it's hard to make that choice because they have to show first.
Right.
Like
Okay.
again, you have the flex of DP Pango on offlane mid. It's difficult.
Right. I mean, it's certainly difficult. There's no doubt about that. My mind still goes to TB for Savage. I mean, I guess TB can be running either lane, to be fair. They could give it to WS as well. Either way, I think it's a TB game for Talon. Nemesis, on the other hand, I don't know where they're going. Obviously, they're going to have the advantage after seeing the POS 1 of Talon. Pretty interesting scenario now. I was wondering where Nemesis goes with their own draft. I mean, it is a Kashi. You never know with that guy as well, because he does tend to surprise you here and there, and he's a scary man on a scary path right now, John. Because again, he was kicked out of this Talon side once upon a time. There's your Sven ban. So do you just go TB here and risk it against whatever Nemesis got?
I mean, the Sven ban kind of signaled something like Drow more so than TB, but it can also be a safe bet for the Terrorblade. I think considering lane matchups is good. Never mind, they just double down on tankiness. They go for the Kunkka 1. It's a Centaur offlane for WS, which is interesting. I mean, now you're really looking to take those prolonged fights. As you do damage in, you're going to be fine to an extent for Talon. It's so tanky on these two cores. You don't have room for, say, a sneaky Timbersaw here for sure. Akashi could opt for something like Lifestealer. Doesn't actually feel awful here. Like, you can just ignore all of the spells. You can run up, chase these heroes down. It's the quirkiest pick because Lifestealer has not felt great. We'll go with Monkey King instead, which is a bit of a better bet. I mean, it lanes fine into the Centaur. It can somewhat handle that matchup. For Talon, this is all in on, again, just full tankiness. I'm curious to see what build we see from Savage. It should just be the Radiance, and then perhaps even something like a Nullifier to help hold, or just the S and Y, or the AC Rush just to sustain. It's very different. And for Nemesis, I mean, this is a little bit scary. Sure, Mac shouldn't have himself a bad lane up against Storm. Like, it is playable for Storm nowadays with Static Slide. You don't need to be right in the firing line of the DP, but DP with Crypt Swarm being buffed up, still going to be massive presence on the mid. And it's Mac DP. Like, we know this guy loves his Death Prophet. He's played it since Polaris days. It's something he specializes in. I'm not sure how to feel about the draft. I think I can see damage issues from the side of Talon, a little bit less so on Nemesis. So I'd say maybe it's probably slightly easier to play Nemesis draft, and that makes me prefer it just a slight bit. I think there's some cheekiness from Talon, but to execute this draft, they've really got to outplay. It's not easy to kind of figure out your angles into a DP, into a Pangolier, with no easy hard hold, with all in on your Storm to kind of get things done until you get the blink on Centaur. It's challenging, and I think Nemesis, when you have a less challenging draft, it's just easier to play the game.
No, I tend to agree with you on that as well. I think Nemesis do have the easier to execute draft, and I like a little bit better as well. Mind you, I do think Talon are the better team. So that's my issue, right? Is I think you've got easier to execute draft for Nemesis, but better team for Talon. How much better? I don't know. You know, because Nemesis, like you said, they're a bunch of players that weren't part of teams that got together to, you know, try to qualify to some events, and here we are. They're in the upper bracket final, basically waiting to be they're one series away, John. One series. All these poor players just got ignored. And look at them now, Jonathan. Look at them now.
Yeah.
How sweet it tastes, Jonathan. Just one step away.
Yeah.
And all they've got to do is knock out Flips the Talon. That's all they've got to do, Jonathan.
Yeah, like look at their patch. Mac gets his revenge against Boom very early on. You get your, just overall, all these Filipinos, the Bisayawas, as the Tangalogs like to say, beat out Execration. The Tagalog stack, you've got 3 Bisayas, of course, on the side of Nemesis. And now it's Akashi's turn for revenge. Like, it's a revenge arc for Nemesis. Their name fits them. They are the Nemesis of everything that exists. And we do already get an instant pause, some all chat coming out. Admin, change Discord to Singapore is the call. Yeah, just stop reasoning, Akashi. Kuku says his subs are ready. He's going to get some subs in. The man doesn't need more subs. This full-time stream, this poor part-time player. Oh, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it, this man. He is the godfather. And again, that's one more talking point, right? Like you said, 5 Pinoys or 1 Pinoy, the godfather or the all Pinoy rejects. Man, there's a lot of storylines here. A lot of storylines. And for Talon as well, I guess to an extent, you're the last hope for anything that's not Filipino. Outside of Boom and I suppose like Jabs, right? Like, and Jackie. Like, this is your last stack with some Thai, some Indonesian, and Malaysian. The last most mixed stack next to Boom. Boom just has a little bit more Pinoys there. This is much more spread. So, yeah, I don't know, this is kind of crazy. We've reached this point where you've got 2 full Filipino stacks still left. You've got Boom and Talon, which are mixed. And you have the potential for actually having 2 sets of full Pinoys going through.
Oh boy,
it's crazy.
Imagine that. Imagine. So Savage would have to stay off social media for a while, I think, John, if it was 10 Pinoys going through the qualifiers. My God, I would have wished that upon my worst enemy, John. So Savage
Leave me alone.
trying to fix it up for himself. Yeah, I mean, he's got the opportunity, John. He's 1 series away. 1 series away from keeping all the mouths shut. All he's going to do is win a best of 3. Here we go, Bounty Runes. Chances are they're not going to fight. WS, though, is going to show up, break his smoke on Eris, but that's not going to matter. Top side, they're not fighting either. This series, I could completely see being a very long kind of duration, John. And it's not just because of Talon. Okay, as much as I'd like to say it is, it's not just Talon's fault. I just think there's so much pressure on either side that they're going to play ultra cautious, which is perfectly fine.
That it is. I think, I'm not sure who that favors here. I feel like Talon's late game is very awkward in scaling. Again, this game doesn't necessarily simplify for Talon. I feel like it simplifies a lot for Nemesis with gold. Like this Monkey King becomes a threat, you get a BKB, you're not going to be a problem. The mid lane for Mac as well should be off to a pretty strong start. Up against Mikado, this should be a very drawn-out lane. To be fair, you're not going to be able to really chase down with Spirit Siphon. Mikado also can't pressure with Remnant and Vortex too hard here. So Mac should just be fine to get that build-up. Rune control a little bit more important. I think the key thing for Mac is just a free ride into 6. Like, yeah, Mikado with the Zip is just not going to be easy to kill, especially if you don't get the value point in Silence. But having that added tower pressure that the DP has, it just opens up possibilities. It's going to force a response from Talon. It's going to free up your side lanes. It allows for some potential to swing to those side lanes later on as well. We're looking at around the 6 to 6.5 minute for that timing on a very even lane. So that's the one to watch out for. Power runes as well, going to be pretty big. A little bit more important for Mikado. Not so for Mac, as he is just very self-sustaining. So maybe not the highest priority there from Nemesis. They can just focus in on their side lanes and just kind of lock that in as well, even at the 4-minute mark. Probably not the 6, though. We'll take a look at those side lanes as well, as we still have the tri-camera view. We got Akashi up against WS in that Centaur Monkey King matchup. And this one should be pretty damn good for Akashi. He does start with level 1 Boundless. Does have the backing of Eris with that really annoying impalement arts to try to zone out Jokam. And this lane for Centaur and Slark is fine. Like, this could be a very easy setup lane for Hoof Stomp into a leash, into some easy right-click rundown. But doing that up against a Monkey King just is very dangerous. Right? You get the Boundless up, you get the Life Steal up, you're not going to get turned on that easily, even with the nerfs Monkey King has received. And for the side of Talon, that should lead to, again, a little bit more of a passive time. Jokam's not going to have impact. He's not even going for pulls. He's just basically soaking, can't even trade back, and that kind of passive lane will just give Akashi the freest game of his life. Like, he is under no pressure, even into, say, level 3 or 4. I just don't see Talon taking that major risk unless you shove the lane out too hard and you kind of poke back too hard here on Akashi. Still not making any mistakes so far. Shouldn't be an issue.
No, I don't think it should. As we say that, they do start to move a little bit forward, but certainly WS probably not going to make the mistake of getting ultra close. Though as I say that, he does, and Akashi will proc the Jingu. As levels go up, of course, I think level 2 Jingu Mastery is probably going to be the big concern here for the WS and, of course, Jokam, but we'll see if they can just play around it. Of course, top lane as well, you do have Cuckoo and 23 Savage against Raven and Jing. Bottom, WS going to avoid the Impalement Arts, cannot avoid the Jingu Mastery proc though, and he's going to start struggling, it seems, down to this bottom lane. Nothing really happening top, John, so we may as well just talk about bot.
All right.
Yeah, it's painful. I'm a little bit curious about this build on WS, opting for the double edge over an early retaliate. Like, again, maybe expecting a little bit more of a deeper dive, some aggression to come in, just nothing to come out. And this lane, again, even with levels, like you said, the threat of Monkey King's far higher. Joe Camp can't even go after pulls. You have a lot of nuisances here from Eris. You can't just poke. He's doing a great job constantly poking with the impalement parts as well. And it's just slow.
Oh, that's a nice kill. Mac will find a solo kill onto Makoto. First blood going his way on the DP, and that's something you just don't see these days, is Makoto dying mid lane solo, but that's exactly what Mac achieves here on the DP. And this is why you've got to be so careful to not give this man this hero.
Yeah, I mean, its laning presence is just insane. Again, you can't do much in the storm. I expected Makoto to maybe just stand further back, but once you have the levels up, and if you're close enough, get that Spirit Siphon off, Mac can afford to dive towers. And now, that early 6 timing we're talking about, it's lining up for Mac. Halfway to 6, Makoto's a ways off from that 6, so there's a kill threat as well here from Mac. And for Talon, that's going to be a very big weakness. Just the slower laning start for your mid means there's no one to connect with on the Centaur. Like, you could maybe try if Savage is willing, but he is likely just going to sit back and farm as well. So it just skews your tempo away and gives Nemesis a lot more opportunities to just play. It's going to be a very slow game for Talon. And for Mac, again, once he hits 6, you can expect commitment to play somewhere. You already have Eris just camping on the mid lane. This is way before that 6-minute rune as well. And they've got that full Exo up.
Oh,
free siege.
Yeah, concerning times now for Talon. And Mac, again, has gotten off to a really, really strong start on this Death Prophet. And gee, Savage loses a big courier. Brown Boots and the full wand on the courier going down here to Raven. It's a nice pickup from the Pango. Here comes that siege creep from the Radiant side. The Jokham's doing a good job of pulling the creep wave away to make it a little bit more challenging. So Mac has to tank the T1 tower to keep the siege creep going. But they'll do it. They've still got Exo going for a while. They've got Siphon if they need it. He'll keep the opposing siege creep alive in case he needs a Siphon. Here come Talon to try and defend, but it's all too late. They will find a very nice T1 tower very early on. And Mac really is probably the best Death Prophet player in SCA, I want to say. I mean, he probably has been for a long time. And so, again, it's why you generally don't want to give this man this hero.
Yeah, again, I'm a little bit surprised it just was allowed through the draft. You're already seeing that impact. The side lanes don't get easier even with the 1v1s either. At the least, Savage is getting a little bit more in comparison to Raven. He's starting to pull ahead in the Kunkka. The timing into Phase Boots Radiance, not too bad, but again, it's going to be a long timing. If you're going to wait out the full Radiance, you're going to have to stall for another 5 minutes or so. And that's just more time for you to keep playing here on the side of Nemesis. WS still stuck at level 4. Akashi already at 5 1/4 in. So also could just work into the threat of the Wukongs if he feels the need for it. And they can start setting their eyes to that weakness on bot. Like, WS doesn't have his escape tool. Stampede is a long way from being up. Just a sitting duck with his rotation.
We're going to move in onto WS. Be okay for now. Meanwhile, top they're moving on to Raven as well. Raven will be able to retreat. Down bottom, they are fighting over the Shrine of Wisdom a little bit. So WS realizes there's just too many heroes here and he cannot contest. And they'll get both of them by the looks of it. No contest at the top side of the shrine. So both Shrines of Wisdom going the way of Nemesis. And again, they're in a very potent position here, John. Like, Mac and Akashi both having fantastic lanes, which again does go back to their draft being just very good. Now the Exo being popped as well, and Talon, they are kind of backed into a corner right now. They don't really have any options for defense.
No. They just have to let it happen. Minimize losses, try to find farm elsewhere. Wait for some initial farm timings to come in, because you're not ready on anyone. Like, Savage is the most prepped up, but he's your carry Kunkka. He's not wanting to rotate until at least his BKB. Maybe with a Radiance, he'll jump in, but he'll not start the fights for sure. Another tier 1 going, and they can just rinse and repeat.
This raid, Makoto, he gets caught. Edict is going to make it hard to take him down in time through the shackles, and he will be able to zip away. But I was going to say, John, it's looking somewhat scary as they're going to continue trying to fight with the boat to fly in on the Shaman. Jing barely surviving for now, but not for long as he does go down. But Makoto, he's out of mana. He'll Soul Ring up just barely. And he'll get out of there for now, but the Boundless Strike is going to land. Makoto's still trying to escape. Him against the world. The Impalement Arts. It lands, but it won't be enough. I thought maybe they'd continue the chase. They will not. Makoto really playing on edge there. But does make it out. Kill in hand onto Jing. Talon, I mean, this is the state of the game for them. Like, they've got to take all these small pickoffs, and it's going to be risky every time.
That it will be. But for Talon, I mean, you ride through this rough spot. Again, if you get your defensive tools up, if this Radiance timing from Savage can line up, your threat starts to come in. You can Stampede right on in. You kind of have to play back and forth with Stampede usage and the Rolling Thunder for sure. But there are angles to play. It's just a matter of waiting out. I'd say if you get Radiance by 15 with a part into BKB, you're kind of happy on Talon. But again, it's a matter of waiting out these next 5 minutes when you are just so damn strong on the side of Nemesis. I will say as well, that was some cute plays coming out from Talon. They were force-feeding Makoto. This reminds you of when March was on TNC, you know? You force-feed your carries to keep them alive with mangoes. This time it's the Lotuses from Savage, learning from the best. Good old March teaching his players. Feed your carries, feed your mids. You have some food, they need some help, just feed them. That's it.
That's why we call him Mango March. All the way back to that Slaughter game he played.
Good old Mango Tree. Oh god, it should come back. Mango Tree was so beautiful.
The Mango Tree needs to come back. The Mango Tree needs to come back ASAP. Makoto, he's going to find a nice haste route. In fact, he's even found a very nice skill in Mac for the escape art. He's going to give Mac a way out of this one. But boy, oh boy, it does get scary in this position as Nemesis as well, because you're ahead. You really shouldn't be giving too many kills away. And so any kill onto these bigger targets like Mac is going to put you severely behind against Talon. And Mac definitely doesn't want to slow down either, John, because he's relatively close to having an Ags up. You know, it's going to be a pretty nice timing for the DP if he can just keep the farm game going.
It would be. Talon's starting to get that plump up going, though. Again, they've got power and control. Makoto got Arcane into haste, too. He's feeling very happy. Good read from Akashi to just back away. But they've got some tools. Stampede is ready. You can get in and out of engagements fast. You've got some room for Savage now to pull back into the deeper jungle. One part into the Radiance buildup. For the side of Nemesis, I mean, yeah, they're still taking free tier 1s. Free room up top, free real estate coming in. Talon have done a great job of just preventing further losses, right? I mean, it's so weird to have so much to talk about. It's a game that's 1-to-1, but it's just smart gameplay from both sides, playing to their strengths quite well.
It's 1-to-1.
The issue is... yeah, it is.
It really doesn't feel like it's 1-to-1.
No. It's been tense, man.
Oh, even the time's 1-to-1, John. Look at that. 1-1-1.
Yeah.
Wow. Very good.
Very, very nice. Not so nice for Nemesis. At some point, you want to get moving here.
Nice Stampede. There's a beautiful setup there for the Wukongs from Akashi. Forces the Stampede out. Akashi also getting relatively close now to picking up a Battle Fury, and that's going to be another cause of concern for Talon. Keep in mind with Talon's draft, you're playing with a +1 Kunkka. You've got an off-lane center, you've got a mid-storm. So your late game scaling, it's not bad by any stretch. But against an MKDP Pango, you could find yourself in a bit of danger if it goes too late. Not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I would say actually for Akashi, it's interesting to go for the Battle Fury over, say, a fast Diffusal. Right? Like, even though it could be double Diffusal with Raven, it feels like if you just chase Talon with that earlier timing, you choke them out faster. Going for the Battle Fury means you're going for a slower game, you're looking for build-up, maybe an SNY on top, into a BKB, and again, that lets Talon also play their farm game, into Radiance BKBs of their own, into a Blink timing for WS, the recovery for Makoto as well, with the probably Kaya Sanj later on. Don't know if he goes for the Sanj immediately after, could opt for BKB as well, as there is some serious threat, but it does signal a slightly slower pace from Akashi at least. Maybe as insurance, sure. But again, if you don't kick up gears in, I'll be a little bit more generous, 20 minutes in, if Talon maintains parity, and again, hit these timings on Savage, who has been uncontested, things start to not really get easier. It does stay in your advantage, but it doesn't stay as easy as it was earlier on, as starting to go hunting a little bit with Makoto.
Gonna have a gander, Makoto. Actually about 30 gold away from having the full Kaya up, so it's a bit of an interesting time to smoke. Could have just secured the Kaya first, but they are going to find errors, which is a nice easy kill anyway. Escape back, not really going to help that much, and they'll take his life away. And that'll give Makoto the full Kaya anyway, so no problems here. And, Nemesis, I don't really mind too much. Just a POS 5 Ringmaster going down. Not the biggest deal in the world. Again, it is going to be a slow game, John. I'd imagine between these two teams, because they are one best of 3 away from proceeding through to TI. So you'd really rather not throw the match if you can.
No.
So probably not the highest kill score kind of games as mid, Akashi, Joe Camp will get away. Dallas just never really coming out.
No, understanding how slippery Jokam is, right? Like he was holding on to that Dark Pack, trying to play off the back of this big Battle Fury timing, or flanking.
Up top they go. They'd love to find 23 Savage, but a nice TP away from Savage. Completely avoiding the smoke rotation. They were running directly towards him as well. Would have been a perfect gank here from Nemesis, but they miss out sadly. Good game sense here from our POS1 Kunkka. No T1s to play for either, don't forget. They took all T1s very early on. They do end up finding Akashi though. Oh, that's a big kill to get here for Talon. And I feel as though Nemesis, these are the kind of mistakes you want to avoid here in this final.
That you do. I will say, I mean, they're committing onto the top tier too. That entire movement, by the way, was from Jokam, right? Like he's hiding in the back. He saw everyone before they were smoked. He had a gander that Akashi was not alone. Then he runs into the river, sees no one. He knows something's up. It's the power of the Slark. Like this pick for Talon is something they work with very well. They know what to do with the info. And you just miss out on some opportunities. You're losing the lead early on, 1-3. 2K lead, not massive, but you really did want to have more here on Nemesis early. This Ag's timing for Mac is still massive, to be fair. Like the output is something to be respected. That's not something Oracle helps you with Edict. That as Exo and the Spirits are physical. So you can still hurt. You can still look for those kills, connecting with the lockdown. You also do have Raven already done with a full diffusal into the blink there. And again, once you have some initiation angles, Nemesis have to start playing. You can get everyone on board except maybe Akashi. Again, Battle Fury isn't really a launching point for Monkey. But you need to start playing your game because Talon, they're starting to get into the gist of things, right? Like they're getting really comfy. They've got the Radiance up on Savage, into that BKB next. Blink, Blade Mail up for WS. So the indiscriminate damage of Death Prophet could work against her as well. Into that Centaur. And the equalized map control just a tad on Talon.
Great. Gonna be just fine to retreat from this mid lane. Talon certainly in the lead now as they are looking for Akashi once again on the southern side of the map. Akashi though will be okay to retreat this time around. This is that point where Talon, they're going to feel much more confident. Slight net worth lead, but with this kind of draft here in the mid game, you are feeling extremely strong. Roshan though is happening. Nemesis looking to swipe this one away. Talon though seem to have a good idea it's happening. They're going to make their move in. Roshan, about quarter HP left. Makoto, can he guess the timing? He'll zip in. It's a bit early. Does he go again? Roshan, it's down, but Max got it. Aegis is up here for the Death Prophet. They will lose Jokam straight off the bat. Makoto, he'll zip in off to the Shaman. Try to burst Jim down, and they've got him. They'll try for the Aegis now as well. Mac, though, surviving. Finally goes down, but they've taken down Savage. Savage and Cuckoo will drop. WS and Makoto forced to run. WS will be okay to TP away. Makoto also able to retreat. But a very strong team fight performance now from Nemesis.
Yeah, just a little bit off the mark for Talon. Makoto, timing slightly off. He did mention dodges, but couldn't instantly re-engage. And Jokam wasn't in Pacific Pound Steel as he normally does on that Slark. So some good opportunities that Nemesis does manage to pick up. And for Talon, that equalizes the game. Now, at the least, you don't have to play into 2 lives here of Mac. It does make it a little bit easier.
Oh, this could be risky. Mac doesn't have any defensive items. He's just going to rely on the Spirit Siphons. Escape back will come in just in the nick of time. He'll have a chance to try and turn this one around. And now Talon want to get out. Talon need to get out of here. It's not the fight they wanted. Oh, Joe Cam set to fall. WS will join him. Another bad set of engagements here for Talon. And Mac just barely will survive as the escape act comes in from Errors. Geez, they just don't have the damage output. And I don't even think Mac was siphoning to begin with.
No. Not at the start, no. They kind of mess up just slightly here. You have to, on Kuku, you actually have to hold that Fortune's End to take care of the escape back. But he's having to use it for control because your follow-through stuns just weren't quick enough. And Jokam missed the pounce as well. And that just caused complications. It allowed that movement out for Mac and allowed the time for the side of Nemesis to come in. They're getting their confidence back. They've got the Exo with the Ags here for Mac. Pushes don't take long. Just go with wards for now, seeing if Talon will bite the bait. And Talon, they're playing without Savage this time. Don't have that big damage Kunkka.
Here goes the tier 2 tower. Still being chipped away at. There's no need to pop Exo for this, of course. Just take care of it, no problem. Life becomes so much easier when you've got the DP Ags up here for Mac. I get very worried for Talon once the BKB's up for Mac, John, because they're already having enough problems killing him off as it is. Most of the damage output on Talon seems kind of magical at the moment. In Talon, they had that moment where they did secure a 2k advantage their way, but now the game's securely feeling like it's back in the hands of Nemesis. It's the only big concern, I think, is the fact that Savage is still top of the net worth more than that Kunkka, but you kind of saw it. There's just no damage right now. He just needs so much more to be a threat.
No. And again, when they made that move, Savage wasn't fully there to kind of get these big hits off, so they're lacking. Speaking of, though, Savage.
Yeah, speaking of Savage, he's here this time, though, John. They've caught him, and Savage will try to run. Stampede's going to be very effective in trying to get away, but the spirit that could from Mac will take down the highest net worth hero on the map, 23 Savage. All that gold going straight to the DP's pockets. Mac will have that BKB a little bit faster than he should have.
Yeah, gonna be nice and happy now. Nemesis, 3k advantage coming out for their side. Okay. They're playing it really smart. They still have the Exo threat. They've got the Blink Silence ready on Mac. So trying to catch off Mikado is that much easier now as well. For Talon, your big hope here is this Crimson Guard timing in WS. It will ruin, at the very least, the spirits of the Death Prophet and the Exorcism. So that will provide some protection out of all of this damage Mac is applying. This has to be your counterplay. It has to be something like that, Crimson. I would say even an Assault Curious would do a lot of work here if you could find it. But that is a long ways off. The Crimson's one step forward. And unfortunately, because you lost Storm Control, Jokam has to kind of farm his own shard up. So those are the two tools for Talon that make this game somewhat playable again. But we're reaching a point where Nemesis are starting to use their farm well. Right? Like we said about Akashi, going Sanjin Yasha. The output of Monkey King gets very dangerous. Your control over the Monkey was good earlier on, but once he has a little bit of that stat res, plays into Wukongs, becomes a lot harder. Try to burst him down. One BKB up on the side of Talon, at least, for Savage. So he does have some protection to play with here. He does steal away a cheeky illusion.
Advantage still sitting at 3k. It's still a very close game between these two sides. Even DOTA Plus right now sitting at 54% in favor of Talon. So DOTA Plus actually favoring the Dire side regardless of the net worth advantage. So, I mean, that could just be the classic Storm effect that we tend to have as the game does drag on. But Talon, currently favored, according to the AI. At least I think it's AI. Guess we'll never know, John. I just pay for it.
Yeah, it's just statistics, I think. It's not really anything that tanks. It just looks at stats, pulls historic stats from how these heroes perform, what you're expecting from the heroes at certain times in the game. Kind of tells you that. So I respect that. I feel like Nemesis, again, still are in control despite that win probability being higher. Talon has to play cleaner for that win probability to materialize. And so far, it's been very clean from the side of Nemesis. Again, very non-committal. You throw down the wards. You get a couple of right clicks from Mac. He gets to hold on to Exo. Talon can't come out to defend anyhow. Just forced to sit and wait and kind of cede ground. the side of Nemesis. And they'll have one outer tower left once this is fully taken away, which it ought to be. Crimson Guard timing is up for WS. So that is one aspect that, again, saves you in the middle of these fights, but WS has to be in the right spot to pop that aura onto everyone, to pop that barrier onto everyone here.
At the very least, a very strong item against the Exorcism Spirits of Mac, that's for sure. We're going to allow them to at least survive for a few more seconds. Big smoke up. It's a Nemesis. They don't have a Roshan to play for at least another minute, but they are going to try and search for perhaps a pick-off. Nobody hang around this Radiant jungle, but it looks like they're thinking about going for the Dire Triangle. Instead, Talon might actually run into them. Oh, big boundless! Akashi! He found two of them. Cuckoo's down. Makoto, he'll zip in with his brand new BKB trying to salvage the fight. But the fight looks pretty over to me. They've got to get out of there. Savage, though, he's been left behind. Oh, Akashi, that's a big boundless initiation. And he's on the chase for more, though. A nice tree chop now from Joe Camp. Gonna allow him to get away. But they took down Savage another time. And more importantly, they start off the fight by finding Cuckoo. And as long as the Oracle's dead, as far as I'm concerned, John, the fight's over.
Yeah. You're not able to get in position here for WS quick enough fighter. Your clump up wasn't ideal on the side of Talon, and Savage runs the wrong way with that Stampede, trying to chase down the back line by himself, not really connecting with Mikado, which is the ideal. Just playing with the Kunkka and the Storm together as your set pieces. Needs to happen.
Oh, no.
Joe Cam?
Joe Cam? He'll be okay. So they are going to go for that final outer tier 2 tower. Just Serpent Ward drop once again. There's no need to hard commit. Though they will, because it seems like they don't really care about what Talon have to say about it. And neither should they. They're in complete control of this game number one here, Nemesis. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's their game to throw yet, but it's starting to feel that way. As they take all outer towers off this map. They should have first dibs on the next Roshan as well. Of course, Talon can't really afford to hand that next Roshan away, but you're kind of in a position where you may not have too much of a choice.
No.
I suppose they're not that behind yet, though. They certainly still have a good chance of fighting out of the pit.
And they can. I'd say the additional resources you have in Nemesis are substantial, but not enough just yet to completely say that they can just win out every fight. It's all down to angles. Again, for Nemesis, their big advantage here is that it's easier to play. You just need to find one key here in the back line. You have a lot of vision coming out from your monkey. Same way that Jokam's giving information out as well on the Slark, but he can back it up with some damage here for Akashi. Talon, when they're finding some objectives for themselves, they don't really have the vision control you'd want to here either. Very defensive warding from Talon. The wards of the side of Nemesis, much more offensive, watching in that enemy triangle. You have a cheeky triangle ward as well from Talon at the least, again setting up fully for Roshan with all of these ward placements, expecting it to spawn during this nighttime, which it ought to in short time. And that's where they have to play. This is where we have to see Jokam get the pounce in. You have to see that good stampede, maybe even the hoof stomp out from WS, and you need to try to snag a steal here on either Jokam or Mikado, or even WS. Again, it depends on who angles in, but you can't allow this objective to go for free now on the side of Nemesis, as that will just enable high ground fully with no cares. At the least, you have that Depth Shroud ready on Jokam. He hasn't used it yet, so if you will take that Roche risk, you do have something that will protect you. Mind you, Rolling Thunder is still effective through that, so it's not going to be the fullest protection, but it is something.
Here we go, jump in, Jokam. Be okay for now, he'll get away. More Makoto. Holding up now, just zipping around. Making a lot of noise, but not really doing too much with it. Just has a regen room, gonna jump in. He'll try to Jing on the Shaman. Jing will be perfectly fine for now, though. In fact, it's Makoto now being chased down. He'll continue focusing on the Shaman. Cuckoo's life has already been lost, but they'll continue the fight anyway. Savage now, he will take down Eris, but his BKB is running. He has no TP either. They got to rely on the Stampede to get him out of there, but it's not looking too good as the Shackles will land eventually, and Savage is going to die. WS even jumping in to try and help out, but Akashi loves what he sees. That'll be another kill. Talon dropping 3 for the sake of 1 support. And it is, again, Cuckoo, who can't afford to get caught, but I believe he did die first.
And he did. That he does. He's just caught out every single time. Easiest roach now for the side of Nemesis. Joe Cam.
He's dead. Raven with a nice snipe. 4 down in this team fight now. That'll be another Aegis. This time Akashi will have it handed over to him. Once again, I mean, you've got to give props to Nemesis, Jonathan. They are playing a very clean game 1.
That they are. Again, you have to try to scout Akashi out somehow. Like, this monkey's just sniping that backline every single time, so we're watching that team fight. Again, they jump onto the supports first. The Shaman's not easy. Kuku just gets sniped by Akashi. He needs his blink to be up so he can just hang further away. As he is the prime target, you're just not... We haven't seen a false promise come out that was good. There's one false promise that didn't really do much for WS. And for Savage, I mean, the only way he can win is just trying to commit, but even that's not great. And you just have an easier time executing. Like, all you have to do on the side of Nemesis, drop Exo, drop Wukong's, you kind of take control. And Talon can't really enforce their will into that area. And again, with the Monkey King into the Oracle, you're just able to snipe Cuckoo every single time. Like, this Blink Dagger is not too far off, 600 gold away at the least, so it's something, but with an 8k deficit, with the Aegis up, with a banner on hand as well. And this siege from Nemesis, it's materializing, it's going to materialize fast in that high ground. Talon, their high ground hold is decent. There's some ways you can try to punish, but it is much more difficult than, again, being the aggressors here. Like, you could just drop free wards, you could just right-click from Mac, no concern for his safety, as he is tanky enough. He knows the burst damage isn't there from the side of Talon. And for Talon, I mean, I know, like, I don't know if Savage going for the Sanji Yasha is going to help too much just yet. There goes that free siege.
They're going again. It's not free this time, though, I don't think. Makoto, he's going to try and zip it. Start chipping away at the HP pool of Akashi. You've got to find a way to get through that first life at least. If you want to try and force them back, that is, of course. Oh, geez, that spotlight can be deceptively annoying as you try to fight. That evasion not going to be very fun as here we go. They've got a Shaman. It's a good start. They'll try to blow him up, and they've got him. The escape back is going to buy him a bit of time. Jing, he will finally die. Now they can go for the fight. They'll go after the Ringmaster next, but Eris is still surviving. In goes Luku's command now. Akashi zoning them away, but the tidal wave will drag him out as they need a way out now. Akashi, he's been left behind. He's going to be trying man fight this one out, but he's still got an Aegis up. Maybe they can reinitiate. They might have to, in fact. Raven's trying. Akashi's still going for the tidal wave again. Gonna drag him back. He'll try to mischief dodge. They'll turn him up though, and it seems like Akashi's been left behind to die as Talon successfully defend high ground. And that's a big fight.
Man, it is, but you can see how challenging it is for Talon, right? Like, the fact that they have to kind of focus on multiple targets. They were isolating away first Eris on the Ringmaster, then they were trying to play poke, dragging back Jing as much as possible on the Shaman, and then you get your opening to deal with a Monkey King. It feels like for the side of Nemesis, maybe that commitment on Raven's role was just a little bit too early. If they couldn't take the fight in the first life, losing access to the Rolling Thunder is also losing access to your big teamfight control here. And it did lack out there for the side of Nemesis on the secondary life. For Talon, and it's not a fight that fully equalizes yet. It does give them some of that gold back. It's allowing a little bit more progression in the damage in the farm. Full Sanjin Yasha done for Savage. Mikado, and he's got his Kaya Sanj, BKB, along with a Witchblade. Could go for Parasma, maybe an Ags picked up if he so wishes. Smoke on smoke now. Bigger clump up from Nemesis. Everything's ready. If they win a fight, they could try high ground again. If they want to.
Mikado. Be a massive target. Hex is out. They've got him with the Storm Spirit. This will be a fantastic start. Makoto will go down. Buyback is available at the very least for him. See what they can get out of this though. Because you don't have a Roshan to play for. You don't have outer objectives. It's all high ground. It's all just trying to force a buyback as Jokam almost tying to a Tormentor. This would be a horrible time for that. He'll be okay. Cuckoo will get his shards up, which is very nice for the Oracle. But can you actually approach high ground now and force this buyback from Makoto, or is this just a kill? It looks like they're going to try and force.
It feels like you have to. Again, you're playing with your strong spike right now on Nemesis. You got to be able to get more out. You're playing into the Reign of Destiny now, into the Depth Shroud. Like, that heal amp is insane. You have to be so cautious. Your burst play might not pan out any longer.
Is a tier 3 tower gone? They've got what looks like a Rax. Makoto has not brought back. Savage is even here. He'll finally TP back in. XM and Akashi, they've got the primary target they really wanted. They'll drag him back with the tidal wave. Akashi, he's already half HP now. Wukong's command not coming out yet. He'll finally get it out. Makoto, he'll zip right into it, but it's just to zone them away. They just want to retreat here. They don't need to keep fighting. They got the Rax they came for. Makoto, he decides to hold out on buying back. It will come at a cost, but I don't think it was necessarily the wrong decision on Makoto's part. You risk losing the whole team fight, and if he dies back, the game's just over.
No, I agree. I think Talon were ready to surrender a Rax. You saw how cautious they were. They weren't really looking to push out or try to poke out there. They understood with a Roche banner that you don't really have anyone that hits the banner all too easily. Outside of the storm, you don't really want Cuckoo to try to twack at it. So you were just going to lose a Rax. With the banner down, that kind of siege shouldn't repeat itself. You should be able to take care of the creeps, maybe even take care of the wards. Nemesis will try to hunt for freebies. Jokam wouldn't be the target they'd want, but maybe they can get some forward vision here on the side of Nemesis to start to, again, set up for that eventual movement up top. Jokam, though?
Almost caught.
And these timings and talents are, it's going to start to cause some concerns as they'll commit for Jokam.
They will commit, and they've got him. Jokam's gone. He's got buyback though at the least. He can be here for this fight, but they really don't want to be 2 Raxes down, so he's going to commit that buyback. Savage was jumped as well, so they want to protect that Kunkka. But now they've got no BKB on Savage. It could be a very hard fight for Talon to try and force this. Makoto, he's been caught. The Hex is out. He's still got the false promise though, so he will survive. But God, are they trying to get some damage on him? He'll make it to the fountain. Full reset for Makoto. They've lost the top Rax. In goes WS. They'll chase down the Shaman. They'll go for Jing next. The escape back is out though. Akashi with the balance, saving Jing's life. He'll turn once again onto 23 Savage, who does X up the DP. But WS, he's been held down. They'll force stuff him away now. Jokam, he'll be alright to escape, but they've got the Rax and they're gonna leave. Nobody will die. Nemesis, they continue to get away with everything for free. Talon are punishing nothing.
No. And the angles are just so complicated to find for Talon. Like, the only reason they won that last high ground defense, or last time around on top at the very least, was because of some misuse on spells. Again, a little bit of an early rollout from Raven, not having to follow through for the secondary life. This time, you're much more well protected. And for Talon, it's an 11k deficit you're playing into. The damage issues still persist. Your sustain isn't coming together whenever one of these 2 supports die. Like, you lose access to Depth Shroud, it kind of feels over. You lose access to False Promise, it's definitely over in terms of trying to sustain and play true with that durability. Roshan could be a quick spawn. I don't think Talon clears it fast enough if it was to spawn up top right now. So there's still a pretty prime shot here for the side of Nemesis. Talon cannot afford to lose anyone in the next few minutes. With that threat of Roshan coming in, this is do or die for Talon.
All Savage. He's X'd up. Jing's there though, ready to hold him down. He'll find the Kunkka. There's no choice but to fight. Savage, he needs some help. He doesn't have buyback either. He can't afford to die right now. Savage, BKB, it's about to wear off, and there it goes. They'll jump all in now on the Kunkka. They really want this kill. It could be game if they've got him. They're onto the Shaman though. Jing will go down. Here comes Makoto. It looks like they might be able to fight back Eris and Kuku. They're both down, but it looks like Makoto needs to escape. Meanwhile, Savage barely alive for now, but surely not for long, as they'll move on a WS. Savage is still trying. He survived from the false promise, but it's not enough ultimately in the end. So they'll jump Jokam as well. Jokam hexed up, TP cancelled, he's dead. That's gotta be GG. Nemesis have got it. Game 1 should be theirs, assuming they run high. You boys run high ground. They don't know that nobody's got buyback. They're all short on gold.
I mean, the safety net's fine.
Oh, what a shame.
They should still be able to clean up. I don't think it's the biggest loss. Respawn time is not the longest, to be fair, but I mean, it's you've got wards, you've got EXO coming back up in a minute. It shouldn't be too bad.
They can't go. It's it's so lucky Talon are just short on gold. Like none of them have committed buyback, and so Nemesis they can't risk going high ground because they think everyone's got buyback. Surely. Oh.
Yeah, I mean maybe again they're just cautious because EXO is on cooldown, right? Like they only have the wards. You don't have that bigger backup from your DP, so maybe you just.
I mean, I think they could have easily taken it.
I mean, yeah, it's 1v4, 1v5, so
yeah,
they would have.
Anyway.
But you're in a circumstance where you're up against a team like Talon. If you troll and that uncertainty's there, then you suddenly lose game 1, you're gonna be kicking yourself in game 2. So you have to play it somewhat safe. You wouldn't expect Talon to not hold on to the buybacks. And again, they're forced to buy because there's no presence here on Talon. They're lacking damage. I'd say Savage's positioning is kind of killing them. Like, he's running so aggressive in. He has to be that aggressor, but the places where they're taking this fight is not ideal.
They're trying right for Jing. They want that Shaman so bad, and they've got Jing down. That's one already, but can they get out and survive and reset for another fight? It looks like it might be no, because Savage has been caught out another time. Though he will get the false promise to walk away, so he's going to be all right. It's 4v5 right now. Talon going back on Mac, trying to find the DP, but he'll survive for now. Jump in from WS once again, but the EXO's making life very hard here as Mac will pop the BKB and run away. But Talon, as soon as they find Jing, they've got a defense. They'll force the side of Nemesis to reset. And at the very least, they still have 3 minutes on the Aegis, but as you're seeing Talon, arguably Talon is the best team at defending high ground in SCA. In fact, I say arguably, but it's pretty much guaranteed. So
yeah,
this could be scary for Nemesis.
That could be.
I just woke up.
You could be kicking yourself now for not trying to go as well. Like, maybe they'll see it soon, whether or not the buyback's available, I suppose, if they force another fight out, but that missed opportunity could cost them. To be fair, they're still 11k up. You only lose the support. You see how much Talon has to throw out to even just find that support kill. It is actually super challenging. I mean, to find an angle back in for Talon. You have 74% win probability coming out for Nemesis. And you've got everything you could ask for. EXO's coming off cooldown shortly. You've got a side of Vice up on Max. So much control to have to be concerned about. And they'll just smoke and push. And they have this angle on mid. Just drop the ward EXO, see if you can force something out. Even the refresh shard up as well here on Jing. So double wards ready to go. I mean, and this is going to feel impossible for Talon. Has to be a miraculous play to somehow save this.
Well, here we go. Move up to the high ground once again. Final racks. They'll drop the Serp wards, double Serp wards. In fact, just in case, as 23 Savage has a Stampede to get away, but a nice Rolling Thunder from Raven, who actually gets a bit stuck. Is okay though. Double Serp ward still doing a lot of work as they just zone out with the Wukong's command from Akashi. Makoto jumping in, trying to find Eris, has already found one Ringmaster. Eris will buy back. Now they'll move on to Mac, but Mac's moving on to 23 Savage. They can't deal with the DP, and WS, he got left behind. He's forced the BKB to try and run out of here, and he's going to be alright for now as they're trying to protect this bottom racks. But the Serpent wards are still doing a lot of work. They'll have it as a very nice balance from Akashi. Not going to amount to too much, but that's Megas. Megas are completely up. Happy death time is Nemesis. They won't rob the fun from Talon.
No, gonna have to try to hold out.
All right.
I have to say, Akashi's just been a menace on this monkey. Like, having this vision advantage, it feels like the perfect way of counteracting what Slark does. Because you will proc Slark's aura, but it's not like you can tell what's watching, whether or not it's a ward or the monkey. It makes it so hard to play the informational game.
Savage? Oh, Savage. BKB and Stampede Force. They might just go. They might go high ground right now. I mean, they probably should, quite frankly. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
It might be that fear factor again of this is Talon. They know how to defend high grounds. We've seen it before. Maybe they don't think Stampede BKB is enough to try and force it. But they've got all the Megas here, and they can go if they want.
Again,
They're
maybe
not
just
gonna do
wait
it.
a few seconds. I mean, the EXO is just about to go off cooldown. Perhaps they want that fully up. Maybe try to group for his smoke. There you go. So just waiting for the cooldowns there. Don't want to get too hasty without the spells, and it's one more engagement. That's it. That's all it'll take here for Nemesis.
Oh, they found him. WS immediately caught. Wukong's command out. There's no one to defend as Cuckoo's also being focused down by Mac. He cannot save at all. WS still barely alive. Actually gets a 4-staff away. But they will lose Cuckoo on the Oracle. No buyback for him. Meanwhile, oh, what a boundless. Akashi again, a 3-man boundless strike. They'll buy back on everybody, but it's not going to matter. 2 down without buyback available here for Talon. Savage gets to the fountain just barely. WS still trying to hold them back here in this game 1. It doesn't look like he's getting out this time around. It should be a tieback. They'll try to drag them back, but it won't matter. 3 down now for Talon. Looking for Makoto. They've got him in the shackles, and GG's called. Nemesis. Game 1. Taken by the underdogs here in this best-of-3 final. And look how excited Akashi is. He had some words as he pops off.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're talking about it. We were talking about how scary this team is. We were talking about the info that they're winning pretty much every scrim right now for good reason. And they show up here up against Talon. Their draft, perfection. They get the specialty out for Mac. They managed to play with this early tempo. Maybe a little bit slower than you'd expect, but they still hit that timing just right. And Talon just don't have the answers. Maybe caught in a little bit of a draft trap, going all in on that durability, lacking some damage. You look at this one time they managed to kill Akashi with the Aegis. It took so much. And it's all back to maybe a little bit of a misplay out from Nemesis anyhow. Like Raven not having roll, and not having that presence, not having Mac around as well to keep the Spirit Siphon spam and a few of those Exorcism Spirits out with the Ags. Does provide an angle, but it takes so long. And for Talon, I'd say they need to look back and try to maybe look for a more holistic draft, right? You have to expect these things from Nemesis, especially at Mac DP. It did a ton of work. The Axe time was on point. It's just so durable. You had no damage here on Talon. And leaving the Monkey King when you're trying to play Oracle is just nightmarish. The Oracle and Slark, because you can't scout out the Monkey King. He's the one core that the Slark doesn't really counteract in terms of vision gain. And he just spots the Oracle every single time. That just gave big advantages out to Nemesis early. And for Talon, and like you said earlier in these engagements, if Cuckoo's dead, there's no play for Talon. They need that Oracle. I will say as well, some of the positioning from Talon was really awkward. Like Savage was finding himself in some pretty ugly positions for team fights that did not feel ideal, forcing his team to stampede in. And it just, again, wasn't the setup you're looking for. Very, very strong performance out from Nemesis, and again, they're one step closer, getting that first slot into the International. The all Pinoy rejects are showing up, and Talon is floundering.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm Nemesis, they're getting me a little bit excited here, Jonathan. You see, I mean, Akashi, what a beautiful boundless strike to end things off. And, you know, I agree that I think draft played a big part in this for Talon, but at the same time, I also agree that Talon got it completely outplayed here by Nemesis. Standout players, John. It's between Mac and Akashi for me. I want to say Akashi, because Mac's the best DP in SEA, right? We knew this was going to happen when he got DP. But Akashi was landing some crazy boundless strikes to set up every fight. And how many times did he just snipe Cuckoo every fight, like just before the fight even began? They're going to give it to Mac, because you can't not give it to Mac on the DP. But my goodness, Akashi, I was very impressed with his performance.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mac put his body forward. He had the confidence to play with his team. And again, this is his specialist hero. Delivers the goods for this very special pick. And for Talon, there was just no answer for that Death Prophet. Like, going for the Storm mid, sure, it's a Mikado special. The matchup just isn't that great for Storm. It's just a very challenging one, very easy to run down. So, yeah, I think Nemesis, they've got Talon's number. And that's one thing as well for a team that, you know, gets to play on lands, gets to kind of show off. Their strats are also exposed to the region much earlier for a region that doesn't get that far in some big tournaments. So there's a lot more data to pick off of. There's a lot more to study. There's a lot more to learn. And you also have that historic history between these players because Akashi used to be there. He knows how they all play. You know, they've spent a lot of time with each other. So it's working in Nemesis' advantage. For Talon, I mean, their backs are against the wall, Mikey. They're already one game down. If they lose the next, they're going to have to go through and try to take the second slot. And that's still a nightmare because that could be boom or exit if they drop in that game too. So a lot of pressure here for both sides, but this is this is that joy we were expecting for this series here, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. A fantastic start for game one. Of course, we're going to go to a quick break, but right after that break, we'll be back with game number 2 of this finals between Talon and, of course, Nemesis. We'll see you soon.
The human body was built to move, not trapped at its
Welcome back to the Road to the International SEA Qualifiers. We are here in the upper bracket final, game number 2 of the best of 3 here between Team Nemesis and Flipster Talon. Jonathan, I wouldn't have expected Nemesis to pull off game 1 like that, but they take it in quite decisive fashion, I must say. What are we expecting from Talon to be changed up here, John, in game 2? Apparently
Well,
not too much, because Conker's first picked.
I mean, they ban out DP. That's already a big move from Talon. I don't think the Kunkka itself is a problem, so that's already a change, right? I'm not sure if you're going to lean back to the Slark if you leave Monkey King in. Neither will you maybe the Oracle, because it does feel like, again, Akashi was really a big issue. It's just you're not able to play the Vision game. You're not able to play that tankiness if you're not, if you don't survive. And the Monkey King always spots the backline. So that's one more thing that I think Talon will have to ban out. But they also ban out the Pangolier from last game. So they just show a lot of respect for the chaoticness, the impact Raven was having in that match. And again, they take some of those tools away. For Nemesis, honestly, it doesn't feel like they need to change too much, and they will keep things somewhat the same with a Ringmaster coming out. So they do still have that very stable support on hand. Percent-based damage against Kunkka, always nice to have in lane as well. I am curious to see what will get banned out. Like, will we see the Monkey King banned out? Is that something Talon could consider for themselves? What kind of matchups are we looking for on mid? As, again, Talon are the ones that need to change things up. Game 1 loss to Nemesis. Honestly, for me, I I wouldn't say it was unexpected. Because, again, this is a team, behind the scenes, they've been winning everything. Right? Like, in every scrim, every matchup, it feels like they have been dominant. So this is not a team that I would say is weak. I mean, they've shown that already, beating out a lot of big teams for this journey and taking that game 1 up against Talon. For Talon, it's time for them to, I don't know, I feel like the game 1 draft was solid. It's just maybe not expecting to have such a hard time and trying to leverage that durability will make them uneasy about going all in like that again. Let's see, we see the Razor banned out along with a Bat Rider, so leaving the Monkey King in. Nemesis do ban out the Doom TA, Bristle, and Lina, so a little bit targeted towards Mikado on the mid. Still leaving some options, like Ember Storm don't tend to get banned out. Puck is still in the pool. I feel like that's a bigger one to kind of give away to Talon, as they'll ban out the Beastmaster now as well of WS. How do you want to pile on for this one for Nemesis? It's the Tiny pickup. So it should be the Akashi Tiny up, as we've seen time and time and again. That is a hero he's comfy with.
One player that I won't comment on when he chooses Tiny. Talon will take Shadow Shaman. It definitely should be a POS 1 Tiny. I guess you never know. If it's anyone else playing it, I never feel good about it. Like, if it's going to be Mac mid Tiny, I think it's bad. I'll say it right now. If it's going to be Akashi or even POS 4 Tiny, I'm okay with it. Even though I think there's still better POS 1s you could give Akashi without having to risk game 2 with a hero that just requires too much, in my opinion.
That it does. I'm curious to see which way Talon will go with Kunkka. Again, you could still shift it to WS. They'll get themselves the Naga Siren out as well, so they've got some reset here. That should be our Cuckoo hero. We've not seen ourselves a POS 1 Naga in a very long time. So that should just be your POS 5. Some decent lockdown. Not the quickest lockdown in the world, but I'm not sure if you're too concerned about big jump. I mean, Ember Storm is still available there if you want them for Mac. There might be a very cheeky play here from Mac, something like Leshrac mid that I do believe some mids have run. Could be an option, takes care of all the Naga illusions. You can just sustain yourself in front of the Kunkka. You just spam all your magic damage out, it's no concern. And even if you get slept up by Naga, your damage lingers for whatever reason because your spell's still turned on, your Edict will still run. It could be one fun way here from Nemesis. It might be a little bit early of a commitment for something like the Lesh without seeing your mid matchup though. And you could take, for support at this point, there's still a lot of options. Really depends on Jing. Like stuff like Tusk is still there. A good save against Shadow Shaman. Good way to interrupt the shackles. That could be one. Saves you against the Kunkka combinations as well once you've got the Blink Snowball. Something that we've seen from Jing already before. So I wouldn't mind that here on Nemesis if they'd want something like Tusk. They are taking their time though.
They certainly are. A lot of thinking for this this third pickup. A lot of chatter as well between the boys. Centaur will be the choice made here for Team Nemesis thus far. Into the Rubik. So it is going to be a core Tiny at the very least. So pause for Rubik to come out. Obviously a lot of great spells to steal here for the Rubik. In fact, all three heroes have very good skill sets for the Rubik to take. My only question remains, is it Mac Tiny or Akashi Tiny?
It's likely just Akashi at that point. I think you're just gonna keep it safe lane. You can rely... I mean, it's still gonna do what it needs to do from safe. You can give Mac something a little bit more active on mid. Depends on the matchup. It feels like anything you pick now for Talon on mid should be good against Talon, against Tiny mid matchup. So they'll get the Timbersaw out. So a bit of a solution for the two tanky heroes coming in here from the side of Nemesis. This is a WS special that we haven't seen in a while. And there's not many concerning stuns here. Avalanche, I guess, is annoying. The lift could be annoying, but nothing that really pins down Timbersaw all too long. So I do like this coming out for Talon. It's a lot more active for WS rather than reactive like his Centaur was last time around. It looks like Nemesis are expecting something else on safe lane. They don't expect Savage to take that Kunkka once more, banning out the Gyrocopter. If they are looking for a safe lane here in Talon, like you mentioned last game, Terrorblade's still there as well. Feels like a really good Terrorblade game, actually. It'll ban out the Puck, which was the one option on mid if you were going to run Kunkka. So that leaves Ember Storm for Talon if they'd want that. And just then again, stick to the 23 Savage Kunkka. Could be the way to go. I'm not sure which one you'd prefer overall. Feels like both of them have have a pretty good game lined up if you're gunning for either one. Maybe the Storm's a little bit more consistent compared to the Ember.
I'm kind of thinking we could see Kunkka pos 1 and maybe just go Makoto Lina. That feels like a decent idea
it's
here.
banned, yeah.
Oh, I apologize. It is banned. Oh, it was first
Yeah,
banned.
it was
Never
banned
mind
first.
what I just said, John.
Yeah.
Ursa ban
It's
here
all-
from Talon. Go on.
Yeah, it's only Ember Storm I see. Maybe Quap, but I'm not convinced in the hero. It's been really awkward. It doesn't feel amazing. It's the TB. All right, so they take the TB, you run the Kunkka mid. And that's better. I think that's overall better. You might lose lane here for Mikado. There are some matchups here for the Kunkka that are still left for Mac. Again, Leshrac suddenly seems a little bit viable. The mid-tiny can become a viability as well, and you go for something else on Akashi, although mid-tiny into Kunkka is still kind of meh. You'd want something else for Mac. Just keep that Akashi on. Keep Tiny on Akashi. I mean, you could go Quap here. Again, Leshrac's an option. Slardar is something we've seen into Kunkka. Be pretty alright. You'll go with the SF instead. Interesting.
You saw Akashi, he got up there for a second. He looked very excited about it. Very talkative all of a sudden, Akashi. It does mean, John, that we're seeing a Mac mid-tiny, which you know how I'm going to feel about it. But pos 1 SF, I mean, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since you and I have had the pleasure. I like it against the TB. Do I like the draft as a whole from Team Nemesis? Not as much as I like Talon. I'll just say that. I think Talon, to me, come out with the better draft, in my opinion.
That does. I think for the side of Team Nemesis, my issue here for the SF is it makes a lot of sense into the high armor you're expecting from Timbersaw and Terrorblade, right? Like it's magical damage with, say, Requiem. Requiem is going to always have impact. Timbersaw going for pipe delays is like massive power spike with Kaya. So the pipe will come later or the Kaya damage will come later, either or. And it probably is a BKB game for WS anyhow. My concern for Akashi is the Shadow Fiend is very middling, especially when you don't have other minus armor to stack onto it, like as a carry. In fact, the last time we saw SF carry be successful is when you run it with like Ogre Magi or like Slardar Bristleback, right? Like it's either you superpower him, give him a free steroid with attack speed, so his late game scaling is easier to pull off, or you have more minus armor to play with that everlasting or with that lasting presence and the minus armor kicking in. You don't have any of that here for the side of Nemesis, so it's a little bit harder to just be the be-all end-all end-game hero here for Akashi. I don't think it's going to be as simple. At the same time, I mean, you have a lot of ways of saving this SF. You've got the Stampede ready there. You have Mac who will probably start these fights for you anyhow. You don't have that pressure to kind of run in and set up with the Requiem yourself, so you can rely on everyone else in your team to kind of give you an angle in. And for Talon, I mean, all you have to do is kind of buy time for Savage. If he hits this timing with, say, Dragonlance, Manta, Scotty, things do start to feel pretty damn good for Talon. I don't think you're too concerned. WS as well, if he does get that free lane, gets that Kaya timing into pipe, this Timbersaw is a massive threat. It rips through everyone on the enemy team, right? And this is a WS Timbersaw. Before, it was FBZ as the king of Timbersaws in Southeast Asia. Nowadays, I think for the past 2 years, it's been WS. And this is a hero that he does do quite well, as we're seeing quite a lot of all chat. Good luck,
Thank
friends. You. And a little shout out for a certain website stream. Get some subs in. These full-time streamers, man. They're all grind set on.
Remember when Akashi was new to the scene, and I told you that the one thing he needs to do is stay away from the other boys, so they can't infect his mind. Look what they've done, John. He's talking a lot. He's trash talking people now in games. He wants subs. Oh, Akashi, we lost another one, John. We've lost another one. What can you do?
What can you do? At least he's closer to the Godfather than anyone else.
True.
I believe, actually. Like, that is his main line with the Cuckoos. Just literally Cuckoo. It's alright. He is the Godfather for a reason, Mikey. Can you argue with success? Can you argue with a man who full-time streamer, part-time player?
No.
Carlo Palad?
I cannot, sir. I'd never dream of arguing with Cuckoo. 2-for-2 trade on the bannerings to get things started. I will add as well, the SF pick, like this draft from Nemesis, for me it feels like an unnecessary risk to run this style of draft. Like sure, you win game one, you're one game up, but you could have just tried to go for something a bit more stock standard to secure a 2-0 victory over Talon. Whereas I feel like with this style of risk, it can pay off, but the odds feel a lot lower than last game, at least for me.
That it does. And we'll see what they can do. We are taking a gander at that tiny mid for Mac and Mikado on the Kunkka. This lane shouldn't be too bad for either side. There's an avalanche toss trap for Mac once he gets levels up. But Mikado shouldn't be lacking here either. So it's going to be pretty static into maybe level 4s when you start to get more punishment in. But otherwise, both sides should be able to find their farm. And I don't know how concerning power runes are. Could be more important for Mac than Mikado, so you do have that, but probably not something the supports will swing to, at least from Townsend. Kind of try to pick up unless they feel the need to really pressure Mac. Can take a look at the other lanes that we've got in your try view as well. I want to pick apart this bot lane just a bit more. Nagatashi on the SF up against WS on that Tim. This lane is pretty decent. My issue is the lane for WS is even better. You're not going to pick up the early points and press into Dork Lord. It's not going to matter too much either in that bot lane. And once WS hits like level 3 is when the credible threat comes in, level 2 is the early threat. If Jokan manages to find an angle, then kills can rack up here. Like, Eris is a very easy target to gun for, as the supports always plug the tree line. So WS always has someone that he can try to rip apart. Akashi should be stable in farming. You're not directly pressuring the SF, so that buildup is there for our Shadow Fiend. But you're also not stopping WS, and that is the one thing with lasting presence. Without Shadowmire, your laning presence on SF isn't as high. The threat of the raise is not as easy to continuously land, and that is a little bit of a boon for the Timbersaw nowadays. If this was Shadowmire SF when we had that era of Boss 1 Shadowmire, it would be a lot worse. This is manageable. Top lane as well, pretty manageable for Savage. Raven isn't going to have a great time when Reflection and Metamorphosis is up. When it's down in a melee matchup for the Centaur, there is a lot of easy setup. Left back into Hoof Stomp, lots of magic damage to pump onto Savage if he's not too careful. And that will mean that every 100 seconds or so, you're kind of playing cautiously there for Savage. Not too much you can really get out from Cuckoo. Even with, say, the end snare later on and the reel in, you're not really going to be gunning for kills. You can maybe connect that again with, say, when Metamorphosis is up, try to get the deluge off with a net reel in. Hope you have enough right click damage to take care of Jing, but chances are this is going to be a very static farming lane as well. So looks like both sides are just kind of set for a little bit of farm. I would say in comparison for safe lanes, the tempo should be the same. A little bit more of a credible early game threat from the SF for sure, as it doesn't take too long to ramp up. Once you have a few souls, you've got, say, level 2 Presence of the Dark Lord up with level 3 Shadow Rays. You can easily make a rotation into that build up to 6 and just try to play off of that Everlasting Presence. Cuckoo asking, press 1 if you think there's a game 3 happen. Kashi, press 4. And we get the go-ahead.
Excellent. Here we go. Here we go again. No deaths quite yet here in this this game too. Still very early on. All lanes looking pretty smooth sailing for everyone involved. No real whitewashes yet. Akashi, I mean, he is a little bit further behind, say, 23 Savage, but you kind of expect that because the Metamorphosis level 1 is going to allow you to basically secure creep wave after creep wave pretty confidently. You're having a pretty good time for Raven though as well on the Centaur, and I think that kind of goes both ways for the offlane, as they are going to jump in on 23 Savage now, but he does have plenty of stick charges to use. But it seems like both WS and Raven probably going to be off to a pretty good start. Sure, I do get a little bit more afraid of WS's Timbersaw than, say, Raven's Centaur. But at the very least, you know, Raven, for now, ahead of WS, and it seems like both offlaners probably going to have a lot of impact this game.
Not they will. And the one thing for Raven is that he's making Savage's lane a lot tougher than WS is making the SF lane tough, right? Like, because again, you can't really run up there for WS.
Oh, Akashi finds first blood. WS the first to fall as they'll chase for Joe Cam, and that could be a double coming up as Eris will take it himself. But that's a brilliant start here down in the safe lane for the side of Nemesis.
Now just a sick little interrupt out from Eris as the chain comes in, gets the whip out, interrupts the chain from coming through, and WS just dies. Like, you have to be so careful. Again, it's tougher for the Timbersaw to pressure the SF than it is for the Centaur to pressure a Terrorblade. And that's the offlane differential right now. It's leading to this ramp up for Akashi. Like, yes, again, in terms of CS slightly behind, but that's not all that you're after here. That threat is ramping up as every kill you get more value in your Presence of the Dark Lord. It's harder to walk up. The right-click trades just feel better and better for the SF. And so it's a very good snowball effect to have here on the side of Nemesis. So, again, a nice start for them. I think Talon's one winning lane really has been mid, but it's not a huge margin for Mikado anyhow. I don't think you're expecting like the Conka to make any plays. Perhaps into the 6-minute rune you could start to rotate in, but it's going to take some time. And again, the one thing for Tiny is it is durable enough that there's no threat from Mikado to try to kill, even with, say, the boat coming up. You're not really going to be able to hunt for kills. And in a static game like this, I mean, that build up into, say, the 10-minute mark, the 15-minute mark, your power spikes on Nemesis are stronger. Like, that's potentially the blink timing on Tiny. That's, say, a Dragonlance Massive Madness for Akash if he wants to go for that build. And that's going to lead to the tower rundown where Talon, you're going to be farming at least 2 of these cores. I'm fairly certain with this kind of start for WS, his Kaya timing, his pipe timing is super stalled out. So the impact of the Tim isn't really going to be felt early. And really, that's the one thing. Like, if WS can't play, then Mikado can't connect to him. And you're not connecting to Savage anytime soon. So Talon will be, again, forced to play into an early spike from Nemesis off the start of these lanes so far.
A strong start indeed. Mid lane rotations coming now for the 6-minute power runes. Mac's going to have help here from Eris. You'll bring Joe Cam in for Makoto, and it seems like they will have the ability to take that regen rune for Joe Cam. On they go to Mac now, trying for a big Tiny kill. Mac, he will get caught by the boat. A lot of damage flying in, though a nice telekinesis and an escape back to come out here for Mac, but he's still going to die. No escape for the Tiny. So not only did they get that regen here for the Shaman, but they do find the mid-Tiny kill for the side of Talon.
Mac's lane has just been bad to worse. In the CS, it's quite fine when you look at the CS board, but when you look at the actual network value, Mac is bottom network core now at 6.5 minutes in. So it's going to be also a slow play into Blink. Heck, he doesn't even have brown boots up yet on Mac. He did have to go for a soul ring just to maintain some presence. Would off the focus on mid as well, you free up the side lanes a little bit, give some breathing room for Savage to not be threatened by that Rubik combo. Doesn't really help WS too much in comparison. Akashi's solo threat is still high. But again, it's just some space where you're not instantly dying on either of these off lanes, or on the off lane safe lane for Talon at least, and you're able to use that space. So good movements all across from Talon. You're still in a very comfy spot for Nemesis, but you know, the question comes to mind now is your Tiny going to be effective? Because round boots are going to be stalled. Your likelihood for a good blink timing now relies on skipping the phase boots. You know, just get round boots, rush into the blink, and then start to make plays at that point. At least with Stampede, the Tiny doesn't need blink to be effective. He can't just run up and get avalanche toss, so there is that. It's not as bad as it could be with this kind of draft for Nemesis.
Bottom lane, they're going to find themselves a quick Ringmaster kill. You've got Jing around. In fact, Akashi's going to connect as well. Requiem, they actually don't find the Ringmaster either, so now WS in a spot of danger. Still able to walk away, but Eris does also walk out of there. So no kill to come this time for Talon. They will at least get a Requiem forced out from Akashi, but that's not too big of a deal here. The Nemesis is going to be just fine, but Talon starting to slowly heat up and look for some hunt. Of course, Nemesis trying to sit back a little bit, especially Mac on this Tiny, because he's had a pretty rough start to the game, which is, you know, kind of standard now for mid-Tinies, it feels like. Pretty bad stuff.
That it is. That it is. Again, he's going to have to just skip the phase boots if he wants that blink timing, which means it's going to be a little bit harder to get damage out. You're not as tanky. Level 1 grow is nice, but the bonus armor from phase boots, not to be underestimated. You do have Stampede if Mac does want to make a play. And then there's this simple rundown potential that can come in. We have a lot of Dormant Curios, 3 on the side of Nemesis, 1 on Talon. God bless that item. Hilarious. I'm sure this is what the Frog envisioned when he placed that item in. Everyone's going to get greedy when you see it. The question is, how greedy? How long do you want to hold on? Because in pro games, a lot of people just, you know, get rid of it by tier 2. But it feels like if you hold on to at least tier 3, that impact is so damn high. But, you know, that's a lot of time that your neutral, non-enchantment part with the actual item is not doing you any favors. So it's an interesting back and forth. It's always it's a good psychological litmus test to see how greedy someone is, Mike.
I suppose it is, Jump. Top lane. Raven gonna turn now. Telekinesis out from Jing to help out, but they've got Makoto to back them up. And of course, Makoto with the boat flying out will be able to secure Jing very quickly. As at least you do get Raven out of there successfully. But again, this is where my problem lies with this draft. I know I've already said it, but you can't play as Nemesis now because Mac has no farm. And he's still going for the phase boots, which means the blink timing is going to be slower than you'd want it even now. And Talon are going to have free reign for probably the next 6-7 minutes until he has the blink up. And quite frankly, by the time he has it up, I question whether it's going to be worth it anymore. Because we've seen this over and over again. They blink in, they avalanche toss, and nothing happens.
Yeah. At the least, I guess for Mac, what you might want to do is blink toss back to Akashi or to Raven for the chain stun or Requiem. I think that's you're not looking for pickoffs. You're looking for the actual repositioning at that point. And again, I'm a little bit surprised Mac actually opts to finish up the full phase boots before blink. So that's a good chunk of gold, at least 1,000 almost that you're wasting on that, which is 1,000 that could have gone into the blink. But I suppose it's fine. He has some wards to farm here on mid, so a little bit of a bonus for himself. Not too much. Talon maintaining the slow game, a 2-2, 2k lead up. Timings are still slowly being worked on. The weakness for Talon is WS in the offlane. Like Artemisar again has not had a fantastic start. He's jungling on the right side. The Kaya still a ways to go, still 2 parts off. So that's more time where at least one hero is not playing. Both sides have a hero that cannot play, and that is leading to not much action outside of the occasional support punishment here for either side. So you'll hold it static, you'll hold it easy. I will say Akashi's early timing again is terrifying. Mask of Madness is up, Dragonlance not too far off. You've already got the Blade Mail on Raven and the Vanguard not too far away. So some of the tankiness aura should be kicking in. I'm expecting a Crimson Guard for Raven here as well. You're going to do fantastic work up against Savage early on in the game. But you will wonder, will you have enough items to deal with WS when he gets his? Because I think that's the big one that this itemization is going against. You are going all in to protect from the physical output. Yes, and the wards aren't going to feel great. The illusions do no damage into Vanguard Crimson. You have your right-click opening for Akashi, but if WS jumps on top of you, I mean, you know, none of that helps against the Timbersaw. So there is that. But whether or not the Timbersaw is tanky enough as well, I suppose is a different question, as the magical burst is there. The WS still has quite a few challenges to kind of deal with. Not enough farm to find it. Up top, Raven.
Try and go onto the Centaur. Raven, Blade Mail up, gonna go for a run. Makoto's still on the chase. Will at least get a Stampede forced out. Raven not gonna die. Gets the spell on cooldown though. Another pretty slow start to this game too. 2-2 is the scoreline at the moment. Nothing really happening. Though again on Nemesis's part, I say nothing's happening because they don't have a mid laner at the moment. So I don't quite blame them. And on Talon's part, well, their backs are against the wall, John. I'm not too shocked that they're going to play it slow and just farm. You know, just get to a stage where you know you've got the game in the bag.
Yeah, again, I think it's just because WS can't have any presence right now. Even with Akaya, I'd argue that he'd want at least a casual slope up, just to ensure that he doesn't get instantly gibbed down by Akashi and Mac. Even the supports do have some magic damage in them. So maybe just need to wait that out. I feel like once you have the Timbersaw online though, that's when things should start to get spicy. You have a lot of setup for the Tim. You have good heroes to rip apart. They'll smoke up already with Mikoto and Cuckoo looking up top, as they have the Metamorphosis on Savage. I mean, they've got the song as well for a reset if things go bad here.
P1 top tower. He's going to go for free. No defense to come. Still smoked up, waiting to see somebody around, and they are actually going to run into Raven again. This time, no Stampede available. He'll just pop the Blade Mail and have some big TP rotations coming in. They really want the fight here. Song is not going to come out in time. Eventually, though, he will get it. The Wheel of Wonder does blow up, but it's not enough. Oh, just barely getting out of there is Cuckoo. He's done the math, Jonathan. That's why they call him the master. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And everyone from Talon, get out of it.
Not only did they get out, they forced, what, a 4-man rotation in? It's a lot of free space coming out. Your wards managed to clean up another set of objectives here down bot. You get space out for WS, who is going to rush the Ags, which is another way, I guess, of mitigating that damage with an all-damage barrier. So I do like that coming in as his idea here. And for Talon, again, it's about getting space. There's pressure here on Nemesis to actually play a little bit quicker. SF, he can scale into the late game, but up against Terrorblade, you could argue both of these pause ones are tempo heroes. I'd say Terrorblade maintains itself into the late game a little bit better. You know, his damage does get scarier. SF, he has talents to back him up at the very least, but...
Raven, in trouble again. He's got Stampede, though, and he's going to pop it to ensure himself a way out. Another nice telekinesis from Jing going to ensure they can't follow up on the setup they had. So Raven playing the escape game once again very successfully. And I do agree that the Terrorblade tends to be more consistent as a position 1. I just don't know on the damage scale though. Because SFs, they do tend to go a little bit crazy. Especially once they get like a Daedalus up. But consistency-wise, I would certainly trust the TB more.
Yeah, I think Kakashi's got the right idea, just going straight for a Chrysalis very early, not opting for something like a BKB. He just wants to have that presence if he will run in, try to get some big hits off. Does have that early damage to back it up, and he is #1 in net worth. It's just a matter of how you find the angles. You know, you've got the blink up in Mac, so surely some play starts to come in here for Nemesis. Talon, for their part, again, still need time to get WS fully set with the barriers. Wants the Aghanims to be up before he's really throwing his body forward. You've got the Blade Mill up on Mikado, and he is going back for the Radiance. That could put a little bit of a damper on Akashi, just a tad bit. At least until he gets a BKB, which he is trying to work towards. So 4K lead for the efficiency. Mac, mid.
Throw the boat out, Mac. Already in a lot of trouble here. They'll just try to burst him down with WS, and they've got him already. On a Jing they'll go. Requiem is going to be popped here from Akashi, trying to allow his teammates a way out as they do take down Jing now. Both supports already down in a beautiful song. Cuckoo to lock down the rest of them. They'll ignore Raven altogether. Go right for the SF. Eris and Akashi down. Raven the only survivor. And now things get a little bit scary. If you're Nemesis, these kind of team fights, they tend to be pretty bad for you. If you're running this style of risky draft and your Talon, gonna go straight for Roshan. No contest, of course.
No. Secondary life at this point can be massive. Should just be probably Mikado. I wouldn't mind WS, but it looks like Mikado is going to be the one taking the bigger risk, because when he's in, he is in. You don't really want it on Savage, as secondary life on TB is really not impactful yet, until maybe Demon Zeal, maybe something happened with that. So 2-6, 7k lead still up for Talon. As is classic in Southeast Asia, Mike, no 10 kills yet. God bless the viewers, they'll enjoy that one every single time. We've got the blink up on Raven, more initiation angles for Nemesis, but their counter initiation is not great, and we're seeing that in the last fight. Right, with Song to set up, with you having to try to stampede out, but all of the hold from Talon, you need to initiate first in Nemesis. They'll try with a smoke. They have to find the angle in. If you don't, then your counter fight again just gets ruined. You're running into Song. They can always reset in Talon if you're not too careful. And for some reason, Mac makes that smoke really obvious bot with the Avalanche toss. So Cuckoo shouldn't be in trouble.
Let's put the gates. Talon, I mean, they're still hanging around. It looks like they're prepping for a fight. Akashi's still waiting on the far west side of the map. Will show himself now to Savage. Meanwhile, everybody else from Nemesis coming from the north. They're going to find Savage. They'll get the stun off straight off the bat here on the TB. Savage in huge danger. Gets the man drop in time. They'll land the Requiem though. Savage still going. The toss-up is there and he never gets a Sunder off. Just so much control for the TB this time. They'll even find Makoto, another big target here if they can take him down. Toss back here from Mac is going to be onto the Centaur. Makoto will lose the Aegis as Cuckoo now going to show up and has no song for 25 seconds. WS will intervene to boot. They'll try onto Jing. Jing dropping low. Escape back. It will not save his life, but they'll find Joe Cam as a trade. Now a nice avalanche from Mac, but he's been dragged back here by Cuckoo. And Mac will die. As Talon successfully able to trade up after WS does engage. But it's still a very good fight for the side of Nemesis.
That it is. Talon this time misreading that movement on the map. Maybe Savage not expecting the gate movement across. He had some illusions he could have kind of placed in the back. If the smoke broke under that vision, perhaps he could reposition, but not really playing with full caution there for Savage. Punishment is good on Nemesis. Issue is it still doesn't feel like it's enough. At the least you take care of the secondary life of Mikado. You know, you slow down Savage a tad bit, but you need to find the bigger wins. Right? Like, I guess that's a fight into Aegis, so the next fight's the one that counts more for finding that advantage now on the side of Nemesis. For Talon, you are seeing the impact of just WS with his full ags up. That barrier, it is a ton of output that he can just completely ignore, whether it be physical or magical. Doesn't matter for the Timbersaw. This is a little bit greedier, you know, not having something like a pipe, but does look like he wants to play his own game, which is fair for WS. Sanj not too far off for him to have that full Kaya. Sanj Radiance up for Mikado. So some way of cutting through a little bit of the right-click damage with the burn and the mischance. For Talon, you have the 8k lead. The pressure's on you if you lose these fights. And again, if Talon isn't taking initiative, you have a lot of openings here for the side of Nemesis. You have the blink, the double blink timings, the toss back plays, the chain stuns lining up your way. Talon has to be the one that kind of makes sure if they are caught, it's not one by one. They'll smoke off Tormentor and start a little bit of a run.
Coming. Talon.
Scan missed.
Chase, Eris, and the rest of the gang. They're going to back off though. Akashi, he's decided to farm around their own vision. They will still be able to retreat. They're going to see him eventually here. WS will spot him out, jump in. Hex is there. They've got Akashi locked. Akashi, though, not dying too quick as the escape back is going to buy him a chance to get out of there. They'll drop the Will of Wonder now on WS. WS taking a lot of damage, but Mac misses the toss back. He never gets the toss off. Nice Manta, though. Will stay away from the X-Boat. Nobody will die yet from either team, as both will look to retreat. The chase continues, though, from Nemesis, it seems. The Croakers are now getting involved. This is kind of scary. Talon will clear those out immediately. Raven now going to be targeted. Torrent will connect. He'll pop the Blade Mail to try and walk out of here, but he's got no Stampede and he will die. Requiem does land though from Akashi, but they've killed no one. As Jocam jumps in again. Error's now being caught. They'll at least try to deal with the Shaman, and they've got Jocam down, but now the Song allowing everyone else to retreat, but a counter Song.
Oh.
Jing, he's found no one with it. Oh boy.
That was a little bit strange. He managed to pop Song, walk into Song, but he couldn't get Cuckoo into Song. Maybe Cuckoo's not affected by enemy songs, like, you know, like Faceless Void.
Is that
Chrono doesn't
I
affect him?
was gonna ask, right? Is that a bug or what?
I think it's a feature if it's the way it works. Again, like Faceless Void innately, for whatever reason, I think it's how Chrono is programmed, cannot be stuck in Chrono. He doesn't get the movement speed bonuses on enemy Chronos. But he still finds a way. Mac?
Top lane. Yeah, they're gonna find Mac. Nice pickup once again from Talon. Finding the mid-tiny of Nemesis and Talon. They will start working their way through the top lane. Still a very challenging game right now for Nemesis. I mean, they're lacking a bit of everything right here, John. I think I want to say mostly damage, but even control's pretty rough. They will try and deal with Jocam again. Jocam, though, he's a chicken man. He's right out of there. WS taking care of Eris in the meantime, as he will continue just chasing down Akashi. But the Stampede will allow him out. Cuckoo unable to get within range for the ensnare. But it really does feel like Talon have literally nothing to be afraid of right now in this game too.
Not quite. It does feel like the durability is also not there for the side of Nemesis. I expected this Vanguard to be translated into Crimson Guard from Raven, but he's just staying on the Vanguard. Without that physical damage block, like the right click even from Mikado is a threat, but of course Savages starts to become a massive issue with a Metamorphosis. That lack of a barrier, the lack of an aura, is somewhat hurting them because the durability on Talon is quite high. They're looking to play it long poke. And if one side has barriers or durability and the other side doesn't, then the side with durability does win. That's how it works. That's why back in the meta when we had the good old, what was that, Mikey? The Wraith Pack. When we had a Wraith Pack, the team without Wraith Pack would lose, so both sides would have Wraith Packs. Kind of the same situation here. You've got durability with both. You've got durability with, say, this Ags on WS. You don't have aura durability on Nemesis, on Raven. So when you run into right-click, you know, Savage is going to be happy. Only one hero has damage block. No one else does. And sure, you have some innate durability here on Mac. Doesn't matter when the Timbersaw is handling him. It's really, your supports melt too quick, and Akashi melts so fast as well if he's not careful with that BKB usage. 16k lead, 5-12, an advantage of Talon.
Jocam's found Akashi. He's just watching him. Hex is out. Akashi, more help incoming, of course. WS going to be here. You've got Savage to jump in as well. Akashi, he's going to BKB up and try to man fight this one. Jocam is down, but he's got no other chance. The best chance he had was just trying for Requiem. But at least he gets something for his trouble.
And he does. So, I mean, that's 722 gold in Jocam somehow. So you know what? That's worthwhile. You will take it if you're Akashi. That's how behind you are. It's a happy trade. I'm getting a little bit overconfident there on Talon, but you still find it. And you kick his courier down. That's his full Daedalus taken away for 2 minutes 40. Not a good time. As that's a lot of damage you're banking on there for Akashi, so maybe now you won't take it. Unfortunately.
Top TT tower, of course, going to go down pretty quickly. 20 more seconds without Akashi on the map, but they're not going to go for high ground. Not enough time yet, but they could start working onto the mid-tier 2 if they really want here Talon. Get an 18k advantage. They're in a very clear lead. Flips to Talon. It's one of those games, though. One or two bad team fights, and things could go pretty sour pretty quick. Roshan now going to be targeted here by Flips to Talon, and it should be pretty free for them. Roshan will roar, but I don't really think Nemesis have a shot at trying to contest this in time.
No. This falls too quick. Secondary life this time around for Savage. So again, he at least has Demon Seal in case Metamorphosis is down, a little bit of impact, and the banner's set for the siege. So they can start to pressure, maybe take that last tier 2 on mid, look for the high ground afterwards. And you're 18k above now at 26 minutes in. That's a massive lead you have over the side of Nemesis at this point. Even a full BKB for WS means he's not going to get easily blown up. Not that he has been anyhow past the laning phase here. Mac.
Here we go again. Bottom lane. Mac. Caught out. Mac. Well, I don't know what he's meant to do here, John. He's just a tiny. He will die. Well, there you go. I mean, Talon, they're just complete control. They're not going to rush the game. They're not going to give opportunities to Nemesis. They're just going to keep taking these small pickoffs. They find Jing as well. Jing with the escape back. Going to survive as they do jump in, trying to find Joe Cam or the Shaman, and Joe Cam will die. Not a bad start. Now the Requiem onto 23 Savage. 23 though, happy to fight with the Aegis up, but doesn't really want to lose the meta. He'll sunder Raven. He does go down. Now the man fight. Akashi, he'll still lose his life. Akashi, he gets the Aegis, but that's about all he gets. And the thing is, he doesn't have buyback, John. It's really bad news.
No. That's going to be at least a Setter Axe coming out. They do have the banner, but they don't need it just yet. And again, that's a little bit of a mess. You said they were going to take it slow, Mickey. As you said that, Chokam goes in for that play. They want to play it fast. They want to use that advantage, it looks like, as you don't have counterplay. Now, mind you, there is a threat of a toss back. Mac is the key now for the high ground defense. If you can isolate the hero away, could be your angle back in, but your damage isn't there. You need to wait that half minute. At the least, when Akashi respawns, Daedalus is up. If he had it in that last mano-a-mano, that could have led to the kill. But with that earlier curse snipe, again, that came back to haunt him just a bit in that moment. So, yeah, let's miss out. Maybe this time. A few more seconds left. Talon has to be a little bit cautious.
Team 3 not lasting. Akashi up in 3 seconds. Talon, though, not retreating. They're going forward, in fact, as they do take down Jing now. Jing without buyback either. They've got Metamorphosis in 24 seconds. Jump in, toss back, Mac. No, he doesn't find one. They've got to help him down. Raven's going to jump on Jokam once again, trying to deal with the Shaman, and it seems like they should have it, but no, Jokam, he finally goes down, but Raven's going to have to give up his own life for that, and there's no buyback available. None. Mac, toss back again, but it's onto an illusion, and he's all alone. See, this is what I'm saying, John. This mid tiny, I'm telling you, it's so game lose. Yeah. GG's call. Why you give Mac DP first game? Are you okay? You know what, WS? I'm asking the same question. Are you okay? Akashi will laugh about it. They'll laugh it off. It's just this mid tiny, man. Like, why pick it? Why take? Like, what's the purpose? Look at this. Yeah, no, look, I've shared that opinion with you on the mid. They should have just given it to Akashi, really. Would have done the same thing. Give Max something else that could play right. Like, again, we were talking about options left. He could have just gone for the Ember versus Storm matchup, or Void Spirit, or Quap. God help us, even a Zeus or Leshrac could have been a little bit better with some tempo earlier on. But to be fair, I don't think it's just the hero. Talon also outplayed us. We're seeing the highlights. That beautiful setup with a song, the way they've been playing around just this counter control and the control they have felt a lot cleaner here for Talon in comparison to how Nemesis had to do it. It was a little bit harder for Nemesis to find those theoretical angles that we were talking about. We never really saw successful tossbacks from Mac. His blinks were always just a little bit short than the ones that mattered. Like here, yes, you do find Mikado's Aegis, but the high ground defense, that none of the tosses lined up, he'd blink, he'd get instant X. Like Jokam had his number. It was just a hard line to find. And for Talon, I mean, again, they get themselves a win condition this time. They have better scaling out. They get WS's specialty on Timbersaw. I feel like if you're Nemesis, you can't allow that to happen. You know, if Talon falls back to this old school Tim of WS that we haven't seen Tim much, even in games where we say Timbersaw is good, then there are issues here. You cannot give away too much in your draft this way. This SF for Akashi, it just isn't that hybrid care we used to see, unless you run it with like Ogre, Magi, or Invoker. That was the SF+1 that we were seeing before. Just some attack speed, some sort of steroid to kind of maintain presence. You didn't have that for Akashi. And again, the timings didn't line up. Like this fight, if you had Daedalus, you might win. You might take the Aegis without dying. You can back off.
Didn't have that Daedalus, didn't have the Pierce, and this is the rough one. Mikado Matt kept jumping in for nothing, like no tosses. It's just, and what can you do, right? Like it happens, but still,
It's the
that
hero.
was your entire high ground defense.
He just had no game the whole game too. Like this is all he could do, just toss. And then Makoto BKBs, and then nothing happens. It's over and over again. This is what we see every single mid tiny game. Here we go, standout player. Who's the standout, John? From Talon? Is it just? What do you think? Is it WS? Is that who we're giving it
I
to?
would say WS. I would say WS.
Okay.
I think
That's fair.
him working the lane was actually really important. I expected the Timbersaw to actually have an uglier lane. Like if he was being hit more by the magical damage, if he was playing too aggressive with raises, he should have had more than one death. But he was pacing himself quite nicely there. He had the confidence that his team could play 4v5 for at least until the 15-minute mark, it felt like. That's when he got his Kaya. And then even Kaya, he was kind of waiting out the full ags as well. But him understanding what he needs to do, how much the game relied on him to kill off that Tiny faster, to kill off and take the threat of the center away, to just burst Akashi apart, was really pivotal in giving Talon that opportunity to kind of find a win. So I wouldn't say WS is our standout, but I think Talon as a whole just played really, really well. A lot better. Like, look at Cuckoo. Have you ever seen a scoreline like that? 0-0-17 on the Naga Siren? Maybe we should have said Cuckoo, Mike. That's the kind of gameplay that the Godfather lets himself have. You know, no deaths, no kills, perfect support. But WS, of course, he did all of the work. Still, 0-0-17. Like that's some crazy gameplay from a Naga Siren to not die, not kill steal, and still have that impact. There you go. Cuckoo takes it.
I missed it as well.
Man, that's nuts.
I didn't notice the Godfather. I mean, how merciful of him to not take any kills for himself. I mean, obviously Cuckoo could have taken all the kills, but he is the master for a reason, Jonathan. He gives it to his disciples. 17 assists. That's all he needs. He's a humble man. He's a modest, humble man. He doesn't need to show off. Someone who might need to show off, though, is the side of Nemesis, because that. I keep saying it. These pro players, they don't believe me, John. Just stop picking mid tiny. It's a guaranteed loss, I promise you. In fact, I guarantee if you're betting, you may as well. If you see mid tiny, I guarantee it's a loss. I guarantee. I mean, how many times have I gotten this right, John? It's a guaranteed loss. Anyway, we're gonna go to a break, and right after that break, we'll be back with Game 3 between Talon and the side of Nemesis. We'll see you soon.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you. Gamers, hybrid workers, artists. Backing your every move.
Welcome back to the road to the International SEA Qualifiers. We're officially in a best of one for this upper bracket final now between Nemesis and Flips the Talon. Jonathan, we've gone all the way. We've gone the distance here for this 3-game series. Team Nemesis. John, talk to me about it. I mean, draft-wise, game number 3. I don't want to hear the time. Don't talk to me about time. What else are we changing here for Team Nemesis?
Rubik has to go. I think that pick also didn't work too well for Jing. If you think about it, that really didn't do much. I get why. I mean, you have a centaur lane. Maybe you felt like, oh, you know, we're gonna lift back. We're gonna hoof stomp. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna work out.
Bad.
Didn't even get that in lane. I think Cuckoo again was creating spacing there. It was just a little bit too hard to deal with. They do change things up in terms of bans. They do take care of the Kunkka, so no more Kunkka for the side of Talon, but they'll get access to the Doom that they've enjoyed flexing out as well. Still, Beastmaster is left available. Raven will take that for himself now. So we do have some 2 normally first phase bans that do slide through. And it's going to be interesting to see such strong heroes on hand for this match. I'm very curious to see what way Raven will want to play. I think all we've seen in the qualifiers has been Wild Hunt. Beast mode has kind of disappeared. So I don't think we're expecting like the Ags Rush. It should just be Dominator Overlord now, as we tend to see. And I'm curious to see what Talon will want to do against that. Like the Beastmaster lane into potentially Pause 1 Doom is pretty good for Beastmaster, I would say. Not amazing for Doom. So you might want to shift that into the WS hero, but you're not sure if you're matchup yet. Can make it a little bit hard. But you do still have that flex to kind of make that choice on Talon. For Nemesis, you don't have access to Death Prophet, so that's one big tool from Mac taken away. It might be time to bring out something special. You know, again, something like the Lesh that I believe Armel was the one playing last time. But Mac certainly is from that era of mid that used to love it. You know, if you think about Mac, if you think about him and the overlap with Quinn, it's kind of funny. It's almost the same hero pool. It's Quinn back in the day of Optic Gaming. Very big Leshrac and DP enjoyer himself. Mac does the same thing. He can play Pangolier as well, which isn't in the pool, so that does leave the Leshrac as a viable option. But again, it's just hard to figure out if it's a good game for it. It all really hinges on the matchup. Ban out the Gyrocopter on top, so just another carry taken out of the picture. Terribly is there for Akashi if they'd want that. Shadow Shaman to come out first, so really good lockdown, really strong push with this idea of Beastmaster and Shadow Shaman. If you wanted to go very left field here, Mike, if Nemesis could play a Chen, I think that could be a way. Just overwhelm Talon with push. Overwhelm them with some. What is this?
Ooh.
We got the Rubik out for Talon, so Jokam Rubik out. Huh.
No, I don't know. The value of Rubik is so high in this meta, but the hero itself just doesn't feel good at all. Its laning presence is really weak at the moment. Even in team fights, like you saw Jing, he was waiting every fight for particular spells, but against a disciplined enough team, they're just going to hold out every single time and just wait until they found the Rubik first. And that's what we saw last game. Jing constantly waiting for the right spells to be thrown, but just not having it. And I believe it was like things like Boat from Makoto that were just held out, and the song from Naga, we saw one good steal, and that just didn't even work out because you just hit the song before you could song the opponents. There's, speaking of song, Naga Siren will make a reappearance, so Cuckoo very happy with his performance from Game 1. We'll pull it out again for Game 2, and I can't quite blame him for that. Nemesis, how do they respond?
5 seconds remaining.
You could go maybe for a saving support at this point. Does feel like something to... Or something with long reach, perhaps. I could try to jump the back, like take care, scout better. We've been calling for it for a while, but this doesn't look like the worst Clockwork game. You're not going to kill anything, but the Rocket Flare is what I'm thinking of. Just getting some vision into the back, trying to figure out your angle better can kind of improve your odds. It feels like that was what gave Nemesis success in Game 1 with the Monkey King. This kind of does the same thing. Mirana comes out. That's a way of getting vision with invisibility. So you can run around, go hunting. The Starstorm facet is an insane amount of damage and can kind of handle the Naga Siren illusions as well, at least early on. So I like this from Nemesis. It's a little bit different. You do have some arrow combinations with a Shadow Shaman rotation, though. That can be quite nice. I want to go back to the Rubik a little bit of Talon. I think the one thing that justifies this Rubik, like you were saying in the last game, stealing big spells. In this game, you don't need to wait for big spells.
God.
Yeah, no, that also doesn't boost confidence. Surely it's Akashi, right?
It's Akashi Tiny.
Sure,
It's got to be
it's got to
Akashi
be.
Tiny. It's got to be. If it's not, congrats to Talon. Congrats to Talon. Another TI. Very happy to see it, boys. It's got to be Akashi Tiny. He's the only player that plays it well. Please give it to Akashi. I don't want to cast the most one-sided game 3 in existence. Please give it to Akashi.
What do you want from Mikado now? If you're assuming Tiny Flex
let me-
1-2.
Let me be a little bit fair here, John. I mean, it is
Yeah,
a decent game for mid Tiny. You know, there's a lot to play around. You've got a Beastmaster, Shaman. There's a lot of heroes to play with for mid Tiny.
Yeah.
There is. Except now you're up against
okay.
an MK, so maybe don't run
Yeah.
mid Tiny.
Yeah, no, that's nasty. I was going to say either Monkey King or like a Puck. If not, you prioritize WS with, say, Timbersaw, because that's going to get banned. I think the Tim might have been higher value if you look at this draft. Deals with the creep army of Beastmaster well, rips Beastmaster apart, rips Tiny apart. You'll lose access to Monkey King, but chances are it can still work out well. I'm curious to see what they'll do now with this flex, because again, they can still make this choice because they're holding out on what they'll close out Talon with whether or not they'd want the Doom Pause 1. They do have to pick first here, so they don't have that second pick last overall. So you will know your matchups, but it looks like they are expecting WS heroes. Surely you ban Timbersaw. Like, I think if you don't ban Timbersaw, this is just a nightmare for the side of Nemesis. Yeah, you've got magical damage, much more so from your supports now. Good burst. I don't think WS cares.
10 seconds
And
remaining.
I think that Timb was just devastating. Again, it destroys your creep army. It
5
destroys
seconds remaining.
the Tiny and the Beastmaster to an extent.
Turn to ban.
They don't ban it. It's the Abaddon taken out of the picture,
No.
so...
I mean, I think Abba
Wait.
is a pretty fair ban because, yep, go on, John.
Are they looking for... Why would you ban Abaddon to as a save, right? Like, are they looking for like a Batrider mid? You run Akashi, 1 Tiny,
10
Batrider mid against Monkey King?
Cool.
That kind of owns it.
I mean, the thing is, the value was already there. Like Raw, Shackle, Arrow. Like, the value was already there for Abba, I feel like. I mean, I guess, mid Batrider was not a bad idea in my... I'd love to see it, John. I'd love to see Mac choose mid Batrider here,
Talon.
if that's the idea. Maybe you're right. Ursa banned from Talon. So they aren't expecting a safe lane Tiny here, Talon. They're expecting perhaps a Mac Tiny again. In fairness, they also banned Quap, so they're not 100% sure on that. See what Talon want to finish off with. Team Nemesis, they'll have the advantage of seeing first.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like we
so it
said.
is going to be the Timber. Well played, Jonathan. Good prediction.
I mean, it's such a
But
good game
now-
for it.
But now, John, the big prediction I'm waiting for. Where's the Tiny go?
Do it safe, please, for the love of God, Nemesis. Akashi,
10
Take it.
seconds remaining.
toss Tiny away. Toss Talon away if you want that.
5 seconds.
Because I
remaining.
will not hear the end of it from Mike. He's going to be depressed going into game 3 if it's a mid-Tiny here. Take Batrider. Mac, you can play like Bob. You can play Batrider too, right? It's good. Again, you'll crush the Monkey
Hey.
King. No problems.
On the bright side, at least it's an okay mid Tiny game. But if he's against MK mid, it's pretty,
Yeah, no.
like you're not winning the lane. That's for
No.
sure.
What'll be-
Nemesis, they're thinking. Akashi's having a chat. Mac looks nervous.
He's nervous that he's
I
going
look
to have to play
nervous as
Tiny.
well, John. You just can't see me right now. What is it, John?
Yeah, he's nervous that he's going to have to play the Tiny Mikey. He's like, oh no,
Ah,
please,
I'm
Akashi,
sure he
don't
is.
make me play this. Don't make me play this, please. Anything but this. What else is there? So if you have to run mid Tiny, there is a pause 1 Doom on. A pause 1 Terrorblade on hand,
Well,
but playing it into Doom can be annoying.
Who was it playing Pos 1 Weaver the other day? I feel like if you can run Weaver
It
Pos
must have been
1.
Akashi.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
Bat.
there, it's
Beautiful.
a Batrider.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank God.
We got him.
Thank God. They've saved the game. They've saved the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a game 3. It's not over.
Oh yeah, I didn't think they'd actually go left field, but this is something that boosts my confidence in Nemesis. Mikado is going to have a terrible lane. This is bad. And it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an arsonist Batrider. For God's sake, you're not going to turn around. You're not going to right-click. You're going to have to boundless and cry here from Mikado. This is not going to be good. I love this. This is what Nemesis needed. They needed some tempo. They needed a way to pressure Mikado because he has been key to Talon for all these years. He's been on and off on the team. And this is the key. This is it. So they've got a better mid. They've got some impact. I'm expecting Mac to crush. If Mac somehow doesn't crush that matchup, like this is the one Monkey King match that I don't think gets saved by Brown Boots rate ban. This is untenable. If somehow Mac doesn't apply that pressure and Mikado runs away, you're in deep trouble. But that shouldn't happen. And you will have a game. You're going to get a good blink timing. Actually, to be fair, I don't want Mac to get blink. I want him to get that Witchblade. I want him to get Dragonlance, Mike. I want him to get his Shard. Yeah. I want him to chase down and right-click away. Because these heroes, I mean, they're tanky, but you get 20 napalm stacks in them, they're going to be sad. They can't play. They can't even counterfight with a slow. So we'll have to see. This is a very interesting draft, Mikey. At least Akashi Tiny, you're happy. You're happy.
I mean, he's literally the only player in this region that I trust to play Pos 1 Tiny. Truthfully, the only player in this region that I trust on this hero. So let's see how it goes. Nemesis Talon, best of one is what it is now. The drafts look really good to me. I don't think anything's too one-sided here going into the game 3. Like you said, if Mac pops off, this could be a really, really hard game for Talon though. Like that Bat Rider, that core Bat Rider, man. If it goes for that Witch's Blade Dragonlance build, holy, does it feel impossible to contest throughout the mid game? And don't forget as well, once he has those shards up, the structures just start getting destroyed so quickly. You know, suddenly you've got plus 300 damage on Roshan every right clicker's bat for no reason. It's just unbelievable. Let's see how it goes though. Both teams, one game away from qualifying to TI. Just one game, Jonathan, is all it takes. And game 3 has officially started now. Good luck, how funds are coming.
Crazy. I mean, again, did anyone expect to come into these qualifiers and expect Nemesis to get into this point with Talon with Boom and Execration scraping for the scraps at the bottom? And this is already quite the story. And to reach game 3 in this way with this kind of draft, this is pretty hype. I want to see what Matt can do, man. Like this has got. I know how Mikado feels. I'm curious as to what his mindset is, because this is a matchup that used to happen, like more commonly. I want to say like 3-4 years ago, right? And again, you go back to like Pro Series days when Mikado was on Boom. This is a matchup he used to have to play, although not too often because it was mainly like Mac and Bob that were probably the few Batrider players that were really prolific. So I'm wondering if he still knows what to do. It should still be Brown Boots timing for sure, but I know it just feels like a nightmare once you get like it was level 2 napalm up. It's hellish.
Well, for me, it was always Mac and Bob that scared me when it came to Bat Rider. I mean, I think Bob was always the better player on Bat, but Mac always wasn't that conversation for me if you brought up Bat. You know. We'll see how he goes, though. It has been a long time. He did look somewhat nervous. Let's see if he can pull this win off here. I mean, it is a very favorable matchup. Like, there's no two ways about it. This is a bat lane against Makoto's Monkey King. If Makoto wins out this lane, I mean, you know, props to him. He's a brilliant mid player. But he really shouldn't win.
No. He shouldn't. We'll take a look at that in mid, of course. The first level, probably not the worst. The second level is when it starts getting annoying with a flame break threat. Again, Mikado is just not going to be able to run up as often. We got a very late good luck Jing, and Jing gave the good luck Yao. I'm not sure who he's calling out there with Yao. Who Yao? I guess I know. But still, again, mid lane, probably the more boring one until level 3 at least is involved. You're already seeing, again, you still have some poke on Mikado in the early level. He is going to be more unless he does level that level 1. So not opting to try to play for Jingu because why bother into Batrider? The one thing for the Batrider into this lane is it's a high value stick lane. So as long as he's actually not copying right clicks or flame breaks, Mikado will regen through just fine. In fact, he might feel happier that way because he can, again, just pull the creep wave back, boundless the range creep, and just kind of focus on the game that way, ignoring the actual matchup entirely. We'll see it should ramp up again. By level 3 or level 4 or 5 is when it should really heat up. Take a look at those other lanes. It should be a little bit of a rough one again for WS to kick things off here. As the Timber Saw into Tiny Marana, there is arrows set up, there's Avalanche Toss to worry about. You are getting nothing here from Jokam beyond, you know, just a little bit of poke with a Fade Ball. So it's going to be a little bit rougher for WS for sure. The Store Storm can just absolutely nuke him down as well. if you're not careful. So then you've got a very nice lane lined up for that timing. Like WS can pressure by say level 3, level 4 once he's got more points in the chain and will invest, but I don't see Akashi ever putting himself too far into the firing line. And as we saw in game 1, WS on a slow game does have to sit back in the jungle, which is much more easily contestable with a pause 5 Mirana that can Moonlight Shadow and Hunt. So I don't expect this to be as clear-cut for the Timbersaw pick. Even though it's good for the game, it's a rough game to kind of ramp into. And I'm so curious about how Jokam will play. Because in comparison to the last game, you don't need to wait for big spells from Rubik. So you can actually easily steal Shaman spells and you'll be happy. And just kind of make it work that way. Heck, even Mirana's spells could be quite nice. A stolen Star Storm with your Arcane Supremacy is menacing. A stolen arrow with a Naga Siren on hand could just ruin you. So it's for Jokam, the issue is just laning as well. And he's just going to have to sit back, poke with Fade Vault. That's all he can do in lane. Very sad days for Rubik nowadays early in the game, Mikey.
Absolutely. Not a great time for Jokam. Not much he can do during the laning phase. That's okay. How's top lane going? Of course, Savage on the POS 1 Doom. Cuckoo here on the POS 5 Naga. Going to be up against Raven and Jing on the Beastmaster and Shaman respectively. Feels like a pretty free lane for either side. Yes, chances are you're not going to find any kills here. There is an opportunity once Raven hits 6, and the same can be said for 23 Savage. But chances are ultimately that both sides will just basically trade farm. I'd imagine up top as bottom, a lot of action breaking out, but nobody dying. WS does have a salve cancelled at least by Akashi, so there is that.
Just a little bit of a nuisance there. The mid lane is surprisingly going all right for Mikado. I mean, he's staying at parity. 15-2 to the 14 of 7 of Mac, and Mac is lower with no bottle refill. That's kind of a win here for the Monkey early on at the very least.
Oh, definitely.
He's going to have even more presence. This is not good news for Mac. He needs that rune control. At the least we'll find one Whopper rune. Will he? As Cuckoo is actually already posturing. And they have bought one. Mikado doesn't need one. Okay, this is devastating for Mac. This is not good.
Oh,
no,
boy.
Mac, this is not it.
This
is
really
not
bad.
it, Mike.
Well, he hasn't skilled up Firefly or Flamebreak either. Which I think is kind of part of the issue, right? Is you haven't really committed to a build here. Like, if you're going to fight for the power runes, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have one of those spells up to really ensure you get one. Makoto somehow wins out the mid lane, which, I mean, I guess it is Makoto. Johnny just does Makoto things. That's a huge win for Talon, though. So Mac is not going to be too happy with himself after that mid lane. And at this point, I kind of doubt you even... Like, the MK's fine. Like, he's not dying anymore.
No. I think it's ultra smart as well for Mikado, to be fair, to go for this over Frost, over Wraith Band, over anything else. Right, so with that added slow, sure, he's slowing down in turn rate, but you can slow down the Batrider from running away. So when you chase in with your boots, you do have that big advantage in just getting the Jingu stacks up. In fact, Mikado's rotating really early here, not even 6. Looking for a little bit of movement out.
Well, Kashi, does he realize it's a tree move? He does now, and he'll run away. What even is that?
I don't
So Mikado's like, yeah, I'm just going to scare this guy, and that'll be it. Trees move. Be careful.
It's pretty early. Maybe, again, he's respecting Mac as well, and he knows the Batrider can just ruin him with a full refill, with that full reset, so waits out. Mac's forced to just Firefly lane. There's a 20-second window for Mikado to play, but level 6 is gained by Mac, so he does have a threat of lasso if he'd want that. He can, again, consider some play. I'm a little bit surprised with how much more you're starting to get now on the top lane for Savage. He does have himself a mana rune creep, so that is causing issues here for Raven. I suppose that's the one thing you do have. You don't need to wait for Dominator to be a nuisance here on the Doom. And he's starting to get that farm up. 33 to 4. He does have the Devil's Bargain, so it's going to be a Midas Cell into Radiance. A little bit of poking on the mid. Cuckoo gets the haste rune, so no play for Mac, but maybe sniping these stacks would be nice.
Pretty classic Batrider play here. You do have Jokam with a Fade Bolt at least. He could probably steal a couple of them. He does end up missing out on pretty much all of them. Unfortunate. At least gets a bit of XP and does force back. Mac, who is being caught now. Balance does land, but you've got Jing who's rotated as well. They'll aim down the Shaman of Cuckoo. Excuse me, rather the Naga Siren, I should have said. Cuckoo will indeed die. Eris to secure First Blood on the Mirana. And I completely forgot First Blood still had not been drawn almost 7 minutes in.
No. It's surprising that we were just so focused on how the matchups were going. There's a little bit of drama in that already. First Blood, not the best on Eris, but you know what? Amarana could do have a little bit of that bonus EXP. So you're happy enough. Again, a fast 6 here can kind of make a huge difference for the side of Nemesis in terms of map pressure, as Talon will kind of sit back and farm, as we know they do. You know, it's just the nature of their lineup as well. WS will need so much more. Kaya Ags is the time you saw last time. That's a lot of space Talon need to buy. Savage will need Radiance at the least to start to have some impact, and chances are he'll also just wait for the BKB. So it's a matter of a waiting game, and for Nemesis to have the support levels up does mean a lot. They can keep finding it. We'll see. But you have that 6th threat up as well on Raven, so the early engagements can happen for Nemesis much quicker than it can for Talon. That is something Talon will have to respect. Like, they literally have no one to play with until another core is willing to throw their body. I mean, they do have Doom ready and Savage. I suppose that is something.
You could try with that. They are going to try now onto Raven, who pops the roar out, but the ensnare was committed by Cuckoo to lock him down, and it looks like there's no chance of him escaping. No Doom even necessary. They'll hand a kill to Makoto, and he will take it, of course, with the Boundless. So you get to hold on to that Doom for another day. Meanwhile, mid Joe Camp going to be chased here by Eris. Not dying quite yet, but eventually they will take him out. And it looks like they want to try and pressure the mid tier 1 a little bit, but you don't have level 6 on your Shaman yet. So instead, Mac is back to just stealing stacks here in the die triangle.
And this is a massive win, right? You're not getting that flash farm you'd want here for WS to clear out later on. Or for Mikato. You're getting that build up into the Dragonlance now for Mac. He's inching towards a point where he will have maxed out Sticky Napalm. And then you're dealing with a nightmare, a living nightmare of a game. So this is all really good news. You're getting the important wins out for Nemesis. You're getting that early spike out on the Bat Rider. He hasn't had to commit a lasso yet. And for Talon, with this Bat Rider after, you know, a little bit more of an awkward laning phase starting to come online. And this is where you do have to be a little bit careful. The only save play you have is Song from Cuckoo. That is it. Maybe a net to stop the drag back, but not ideal for the side of Talon. And Mac has so much room. Like, even the Ancients on his own side was built up here by Jing, so a lot of farm. He is opting for the blink after the Dragonlance. It does look like he understands he has to play as initiation, as, you know, you're not going to get a fast blink on Raven. So that will cut through, say, the Witch's Blade at least, but might not even be necessary anyhow. Just having a quick level 5 Sticky Napalm is a threat in and of itself here for Mac.
It certainly is. It's pretty calm, 2-1, almost 10 minutes into the game. It's very slight net worth lead for Nemesis, nothing to write home about. Akashi, second in net worth right now, only to 23 Savage. Just to be expected, because it is Doom after all. Devil's Bargain probably going to make sure he remains high in the net worth and is going for the Midas build up, as they are going to look for Raven now. Doom is still available from that last time. Raw will not come out in time, and Raven, he will try to run away, of course. There will be a Jing rotation try to help out. In fact, they're home with the Dominator creep drop. It's doing some damage here. Savage is going to be okay to retreat. The turnaround now with the roar up. Going to land onto Cuckoo. Savage being slowed up on the side, and now the Serpent Ward. Perfect lock from Jing. They'll even lose Cuckoo, but Akashi does die bottom. So still a favorable trade for the side of Nemesis. But they do lose Akashi.
Yeah, I'd say if you're Talon, you're okay with that, because this action happens away from Mikato. Like, right now, the Doom is not the hero to be concerned about. Yeah, he's going to slow down. The Midas is a little bit stalled out for Savage. Top lane's going to be shoved in. They have an aggressive ward. They could capitalize on that for Nemesis. But the big one that Talon really wants to save is Mikato. He's had a little bit of a slower game on the Monkey King. You know, he went for the Orb Corrosion. He doesn't have farming items up. And this is the guy that wants to go hunting. As long as he's hunting, in exchange...
Savage. Oh, they missed the flame break was a bit awkward. They were hoping for it to knock him to the left, but kind of just knocked him south, and they don't want to dive the tier 2 tower this early. The real shame there was as well, Mac was, what, 100 gold away from having the full blink up, but they kind of just went for the smoke a little bit earlier on, hoping for the flame break into the roar, and it just does not work out for them. Still, 4-2. Net worth leads still the way of the Radiant, but very low. WS has now overtaken a net worth, now second to 23 Savage, just about to overtake the Doom, in fact. So you do still have another good game for the Timber as far as net worth goes at the moment. And you are finding all three cores of Nemesis. They are slowly falling a little bit behind. But it is very negligible. It's barely behind.
Yeah, not at this point yet. It's not a concern for Nemesis yet. It's a very even game. The key thing for Nemesis is to apply this pressure early. While Talon's weak, because again, WS has no presence. Savage is just reliant on Doom, doesn't have presence to run around with Scorched Earth or Radiance yet, and Mikado has literally nothing. So this is your moment to kind of shine on Nemesis. This is your moment to set those aggressive wards out, start to look for some sieges. Mid-tier 1 does feel like it needs to go quite fast if at all possible. And see if they'll be able to start maybe applying some pressure there with the Serpent Boards coming off cooldown here for Jing. At least the Fusel Blade is slowly being formed up for Mikado. Still a ways off with 2 parts lacking. Wound control is still favorable for Talon as well, so no resources for Mac constantly out with an empty bottle. Not the best feeling in the world. And that is maybe just holding back a little bit more with how far you can commit. And for Talon, if you do play at a slower pace of game, they're happy. Again, you're recovering on WS. Well, not recovering, but building into that point where he'll have items to play with. Savage has his Midas up, so the farm pace really escalates now into that Radiance. I'm a little bit shocked that Nemesis aren't looking to instantly play with that Blink. They'll smoke now with Eris and Mac. They've got the Moonlight Shadow to back this up as well if they want. They miss, unfortunately, the scan up top on Savage. They might walk back to the camp.
Huku will die. So they do miss out on the big kill on Savage, but they'll still get something for their trouble. Take what they can get again. It is going to be a bit of a slower game here for game 3 until we hit that mid-game timing, so not expecting a huge amount of kills yet. You do have the blink now on Mac though, so I imagine he probably still wants to move in once Lasso is back off cooldown. Tier 1 mid tower going to drop though, a nice deny from Joe Camp. And Talon is still doing just Talon things. They're just still farming. They're just not showing on the map.
No.
It's not their time.
No need to. Then just need to wait. Your heroes have gold, but no real items to speak of, so just some patience out. As long as you're not losing tier 2s, I think that's like the breaking point if Talon does start to get forced into tier 2 tower fights early. That's when things can start to get a little bit dicey for Talon, as they really have no easy say there. I think that's, you do have to achieve that inside of Nemesis. Try to dig in if you can. I think your one shortfall here is that, again, Akashi is as well on the timing, so it's somewhat waiting for farm. Like, he needs to go back for Ags. You could try to maybe go Sanjin Yash or BKB right after. Maybe a Blink if you feel it's a need for it. Chances are you probably don't want to, as again, it just stalls out the right-click aspect of Tiny having to go for mobility first. So just a lot more time for that Tiny to start to get to connecting. And if they are just going to wait for that Tiny, it is worrisome, because that Tiny timing will line up with Treecourse and Talon having some play. Kai is done on WS. It's going to be a Lotus Orb first to block off and reflect some big spells. Could be very impactful if he does get a good usage of that off. The armor is going to be really useful as well, up against the right clicks of the Boar and of Raven himself with that Wild Hunt. Yeah, it's a fine game for Talon to just sit back. I'm surprised again. They've had the Blink. They do have Lasso off cooldown. It should just be go. Should be go, go, go every time you have these spells. You still have the Moonlight Shadow as well. You cannot play a slow game. I mean, you can, but Talon starts to have some play back, and there's no reason to complicate this game any further if you're Nemesis.
They're still hanging about here, Nemesis, just sticking as a team. Nobody really too split up. Just make sure Akashi does remain safe here down in this bottom lane. So they are going to start looking towards that tier 1 bottom tower. Lasso available. Arcane Rune also up for Mac, so he really wants to go. You do have Makoto actually sneaking up from behind the bottom lane, and he might try to set up an Akashi. This could be a huge kill for Nemesis if Makoto does try. Assuming Mac's around and ready, though. He has just popped his Firefly to clear out some creeps. Tier 1 bottom tower still dropping, but Talon, they're on the way. Song was committed. The creep on the high ground sees nothing apart from maybe WS, who just showed up there for a second. They'll drop the circle ward to the tier 2 bottom tower. Savage will respond now. They actually find Mac on the bat. So Mac going down already. That's a huge loss now for Nemesis. They'll try to retreat without any further casualties. With the Moonlight Shadow, Akashi trying for a TP in the river does get away. Everybody else just rushing towards the twin gates. They'll get Raven out of there. They'll get Jing out of there. And in fact, they've got everyone out of it. So Mac will be the sole casualty here in this defense of Talon. And I guess all in all, it's not the worst case, but it is still a pretty nice pick-off for Talon.
And Miz just getting a little bit greedy on that triangle. Talon don't even need to commit anything big. Right, they hang on to Doom, they hang on to the Song, to Wukong's is still up. Jokam still has the arrow for a little bit longer, not too long at the very least. And yeah, that's the one difference for the Rubik. You do have, again, very easy high impact spells to find. Roche does begin here for the side of Nemesis. Talon, I don't think they quite read that. A good ward to watch this area as well here from Nemesis, who did run in. So this should be the freebie.
Happens really quick when you got a Bat Rider. Getting for plus 200 damage right now with the sticky napalm stats. Jump in. They're going to find a nice freebie. Jokam going to find out the hard way that they are indeed Roshaning. So he will die. Makoto is around the area, but obviously he's not going to feel confident enough to try and jump in on his own. And so Roshan, first one of the game, is going to go the way of Nemesis, and it will be handed to Mac on the back, which I think is fair because he's just too important to lose before a fight even breaks out. Like, you can't have the Bat Rider dying first.
No.
Makoto, speaking of dying, we might see it. Mac, he'll get caught. Arrow will be out from Eris to ensure there's no follow-up, though. And nothing will come of this this initiation.
A little bit cheeky for Mikado, not quite seeing Eris on the left. An easy arrow to come in. And is going to be one more threat down from Talon. No Wukongs for 80 seconds. A lot of room to just play aggressive now for the side of Nemesis. And again, just very free pushes if you do decide to go for it. Just drop the ward, send that Overlord creep up. We'll go with a little bit of a smoke first, just to maybe try to wrap, looking like they want to run down bot into that gate. WS could be in the wrong spot at the wrong time here.
Sure, could be WS. Looking to retreat. Raven, I don't think saw him. It's WS getting out just at the right time. We'll know it as well as they stole the Watcher back. It's such a close game as well. Currently Dota Plus sitting at 56% for Nemesis, but again, it's one of those games, it really does feel like just a 50-50 flip right now between these two teams.
Radiant's middle tower
One big team fight could be the deciding factor as to who gains the real big advantage. But according to Dota Plus at the moment, Nemesis is apparently the slight favorite. Very slight.
Yeah, I mean, at this kind of game point, I do agree. They are in control of the game. They're the ones looking to push. They're the ones with Aegis. I think that also skews things quite a fair bit. Talon, they have some major spikes though. Ag's back up on WS, so forfeits the Fast Lotus. Wants the barrier. First, maybe a freebie here.
Eris. Nice smoke break here from Amarana. Eris will not be able to escape, but does at least save the life of Raven, who would have certainly just gotten killed off so quickly had Eris not just tanked the gank. Although, they're going to try and go for something here. Nemesis jumping on WS, who had the axe going. It won't matter, though, if he dies before the axe ends up exploding. And in fact, it does now, but he's already gone. WS is down. Cuckoo trying to save. Actually avoids a balance with that song. It's a bit unfortunate for Makoto because he had the Jingu going, but he's still going to fight anyway. Cuckoo walking out of there. Akashi dying to 23 Savage. Now they're on to Raven, and Raven's gone. In fact, they've even found Mac. The shackles landing from Jokam. Oh, that's a beautiful fight here from Talon. The worst part is, like, you didn't even need to reinitiate as Nemesis, but they thought they had the advantage in their position. It turns out they didn't.
No. I mean, you expended so much to kill off WS. They should have known their resources were running low to take that fight. And Talon gets a reset. Then you have to remember, Song of the Siren does have innate healing now. It does come with that for free. It's not something that just comes with a shard. The shard just improves it. And as well as
this.
that, again, you're seeing the impact of just having Jokam and Rubik. Like, yeah, you get the drag back, that's Roar and Lasso down just for WS that you don't pierce out fast enough. Your wards are in the wrong spot for the follow-up fight. Beautiful song coming out from Kuku. Mikado does not mind that repositional Boundless to set up for this Wukongs in such a dodgy area. And yet the Rubik actually has impact because you have a Shadow Shaman you're playing into. Just get the Shackle. Nice and easy. You have that added range. You can just control. And Talon suddenly get a 6k lead playing into an Aegis. This is not good news if you're a Nemesis fan. This is not good news for the All Pinoy rejects. As the game, in terms of kills, again, we're not even on double digits, right? But it's a 6k lead. The tempo has swung back to Talon. And now, with Mikado soaking up some kills, he can be the actual scaling core. Like, he's got Yasha off of the defusal, he'll get a BKB, he'll get Sanjin Yasha, he can look for bigger and bigger items. The damage will come from him. The durability on WS, just with the Ags alone, is immense. And he's going to get a Lotus Orb next.
Oh, they're going to find Jing here on the Shaman. Nice easy pick up on the Jing, and in fact, they've even got a Kashi down south. Have they found him? Jokam? Oh my god, he does.
Oh, Jokam.
He gets there in time. Jokam, he found the primary target in the POS 1 Tiny. And Akashi, he can do nothing to survive. Beautiful setup from Jokam. And he's showing us the Rubik. I mean, it's a weak hero, John, but in the right hands, still very effective.
That it is. And again, I think the key thing for Rubik is you don't look for big teamfight spells to steal. I don't think you have for at least 3 years now. But people have forgotten the impact of stealing these small spells. Stealing the Shackle, stealing the Hex, stealing the Arrow to give information back. All of this does a lot for your team. And we're certainly seeing that coming in here from Jokam with that quick little blink pickup now. Just doing immense work. Double digits being achieved by Talon. 7 to 10, 7k lead up for them. And for the side of Talon, again, if this game going into the 25 to 35 minute mark, it's their game to play. This is the spike that you were concerned about here for the side of Nemesis. And they'll have a BKB on Mac. That's one tool. He doesn't quite have a shard, and he doesn't quite have attack speed to try to leverage this Arsonist facet. He's not able to lay onto towers as well. I think the thing for Mac in this game, it honestly feels like you have to kill Kuku. It's almost the same story as game 1. This Naga Siren cannot be allowed to live because the counterfight potential for Talon is way too big. Way too big. The reset's too much. The repositional advantage you get is massive. We'll go hunting now with a smoke. I mean, if you're not initiating on Nemesis, I don't see how you take these fights.
Neither do I, John. Talon smoked up and waiting. Mac's going to show in the mid lane there for a second. They won't jump him, though. Smoke on smokes now. Savage gonna have his smoke broken, jump in. Mac got the Boundless, immediately stunning him up, but Makoto, he does get caught anyway, and he's gone. Makoto is down. A massive start here for Nemesis. As Talon, they have to leave, and they will, but not before they take down WS here on Nemesis. Oh, it looked like such a poor start as well. Mac jumping in to the immediate stun, but he still found the Makoto Monkey King. And that's just a huge advantage now for Nemesis.
That's a one here you can't afford to lose in frontline. We were just talking about where the damage is coming in from. It is from the monkey, more than anything else. And this time, it was the initiation out from Nemesis. That's them taking advantage in a very awkward spot. Still paying off. 9 to 10, 3k lead, still maintaining for Talon. But you are seeing just the angles for Nemesis. They are there. It's a little bit quirkier, but if you find, say, Mikado, or maybe not WS, we've seen that already, but if you find Mikado, suddenly the follow-up fight without Wukongs feels really awkward. At least for Talon, they didn't expend anything. But for the side of Nemesis as well, it's not like those are long cooldown spells. Lasso's coming off cooldown again. Roar coming off cooldown in 10. Not much to really wait for. Maybe the next Moonlight Shadow, sure. At least now for Talon, they do have the blink on Savage, so they don't need to rely on Mikado to find this angle out with the Boundless, or with WS just throwing his body forward. Now you could actually follow through with a Blink Doom, but Akashi has his own Blink up now as well. So multiple ways to approach these fights on both sides. I would say it's maybe simpler to play on Nemesis still, because again, you have this crazy threat of Roar, the follow through from the Blink Lasso or the Blink Throw. Avalanche Tosh is pretty big, so it is easier to play.
Times are tough now for Talon. I mean, they're going to smoke up again.
Yeah, they going to run in. Savage finds himself on Arcane Room, gets a jump onto Mac, but Aurora saves him for the moment. Mac just TPs away. Who cares about Doom? Raven's there with a stun. And that's one major spell gone. Arcane Rune at least mitigates some of that. Jump back in. Catch out Raven. Catch out Jing as well. But here comes Akashi with that fresh blink. Catching out Cuckoo. Doesn't get the song. He's taken away as well as they keep the chase. Trading a support. Looking for Akashi next. Can they maintain vision? Looks like they can. They've got him down. Toss back to save for a little bit longer, but not long enough. As Mac tried to come in to help his teammate. Does have the lasso. Will have the path with a Firefly, but WX isn't giving up the shield. Explodes right on top. See, they will blink away, saving himself for the moment. But a massive win for Talon, finding 3 for 2. Still not letting go, Mikey. They're still chasing a little bit. But Mac, he's safe. He's fine.
Well done, John. My apologies. Quick disconnection there. Maybe he's not.
Is he safe? He's not safe.
No, he's not, John. No, he's not. He's down.
Oh my goodness.
Massive fight for Talon now. I didn't even get to see how that fight started, sadly, John. I had a quick disconnection happen to me. What the hell happened?
I mean, it was so awkward. Savage got Arcane Rune, instantly blinked doomed Mac, so he's taken out. But then the roar came in from Raven, allowing the TP away, so it looked fine. But the rest of the heroes of Nemesis were trying to re-engage. So Mac was forced to run back in after the Doom fades away, and it just falls apart. They still had the numbers there on Talon, and very fortunate for Savage that he had the Arcane Rune. Doom is back up, not Boom. Boom is down lower bracket. Doom is back up, and he's set to go again. I mean, again, this game is so close. One lost fight, you lose a lot in terms of temperature. You lose a lot in terms of map control. And Talon reel it back their way for now. This could easily swing back. Again, when you think about the initiation here for Nemesis, it's simpler. Talon have to kind of go all in, and one bad all in can end things. It's just a pity no one was there to follow through from Raven's Roar. I think that was the moment to make that turn in, but just a little bit too far apart there for the side of Nemesis, Mike.
I wonder if they can fight here in this Roshan pit, John. Nemesis losing a big one. They'll get a nice scan out, so they know Roshan is happening. They've got the information, but they need some confidence in themselves to try and fight in this position. You do have the constant arrows that you can just kind of spam out here onto the Roshan if you want to check its HP, but it doesn't really seem like they're going to set up for a fight, but rather maybe just push out all the other lanes and make sure they're set up for a long and tedious push for Talon once the Roshan is done. It is a very slow Roshan as well, by the way. Very, very slow indeed. It'll get done eventually.
And will. We have some tools coming in here for Nemesis in this interim period. The BKB up for Raven. So again, your lack of debuff immunity peers outside of Doom can cause some issues here on the side of Talon. But this BKB can also work against you. We've seen it before. If Song turns on with a BKB, you not being affected by this Song can actually just murder you. So we'll have to see how Raven kind of works around with this BKB here. 11 to 14 secondary life for Savage given to him, as he has a BKB to follow through for life 2, of course, down to 7 seconds. Surprised it's not onto Mikato, but it does feel like Savage will be taking that risk with the blink up, so he will want to initiate for the team, following through from WS. For Nemesis, I'd say right here, you kind of are okay playing defensive. The key thing is, you have to initiate first. If you initiate first, everything's fine, no matter whether or not you're being the aggressors or not, even if you're not smoking aggressively. Like, if Talon smokes up, if you jump in first, you're happy. As long as you get the lasso off, as long as you get your spell usage off, you will disrupt Talon's game plan, because it's very sensitive for Talon, Mike. Like, one bad position, one repositional play with lasso, Talon can get ruined. So, it's a lot of pressure on Mac to deliver. He is trying. He still doesn't have his shard, which I'd say is mildly disappointing to not have the infinite stacks of goo, but I suppose, napalm, I suppose it's not as important here since they're not sieging as easily, but certainly as the game progresses, that's something to watch out for as well. At least the Witchblade is coming in. That's going to be quite nice to boost the impact.
It is, but I mean, times are very tough right now for Nemesis. Still anyone's game, though, I gotta say. Like, it's really not that one-sided at all. Torment are going to be taken. Talon, they'll hand that one over to WS. So free shards up for him now. Kashi working towards his own BKB. The big timing for me with Tiny is always going to be the BKB into Daedalus. Like, once the Daedalus is up on this POS 1 Tiny, then yeah, it does kind of start to feel pretty scary, just how much damage it can burst out in the matter of seconds. But until that point, you know, it's still pretty scary. And don't forget as well, 23 Savage, if he dooms the Tiny, it just feels like it's not even a hero anymore. It's kind of what happened last team fight to poor old Akashi. They'll run through the top lane here with Mac, but it seems like Talon might start forcing them back by going through bottom.
They've got some clean angles for a bit of a siege. That shard coming out from WS is actually pretty useful. Again, you saw their issues with taking objectives. The Flamethrower does allow a little bit more to come out at the very least. That is something. Mikado is keeping tabs up top. Does have an amp damage rune for a little bit longer, so could make the call to try to go for a defensive fight, but they're not even throwing bodies. They are going for the non-committal push here on Nemesis. Still, maybe the smoke re-engage can pay off. They'll try the angle through the gate. This rear angle onto Savage, onto the rest of Talon, could ruin them. They still have the Moonlight to back this up as well. Talon has to be a little bit cautious here.
Kashi's coming in from the front. Nemesis still rushing through the bottom lane, but Talon have moved into the mid lane. Akashi's got the full BKB coming out now as well. No buyback gold on the Tiny, but BKB completed. AC up on Savage. They're going to jump in. They'll try for Cuckoo first here with the Tiny. Meanwhile, the lasso as well onto Jokam, taking down the Rubik. Cuckoo was forced to pop that song because Akashi was just dealing with him too easily. Meanwhile, Raw committed now onto 23 Savage. He's starting to drop really damn low on this Doom, but he has 2 lives available. They'll take the first one. Doom not able to come out onto Mac. Jing will go down. Is the fight over for Talon? Cuckoo will be lost as well. Akashi finally has his chance to kill the Naga. Cuckoo, props to him, John. Kept Akashi busy that whole fight.
And he does. At the least, Akashi didn't have to pop a BKB charge. Wouldn't want to anyhow. So you make a pretty big win out for Nemesis. You managed to find that flank. Again, if you initiate on Nemesis, the game is so much easier. The Rubik is a high priority because he steals Shackle and you're kind of ruined. And they never got the Doom off from Savage. So very nice hit and run from Nemesis. They don't over push it. They don't overstay their welcome. And they now have another angle with full blink on Raven. So for Talon, the mindset now has to be, you got to start thinking about multiple Lincolns. You've got to have that protection, even on the supports. If anyone here could farm a Lotus or Lincolns up, it will make a world of difference. Just to ensure your backline just doesn't get instantly ripped apart, give you some time to play. And Nemesis stave off the threat for high ground. With that Aegis gone, Talon aren't going to be too keen to look for objectives, but they might be keen for a fight. They are smoked up. Issue is, it doesn't look like they're drawing the right lines.
They've got to be a little bit careful here. They haven't got Song for 35 seconds. You haven't got the disengage this time. Only waiting. Nemesis. Oh, they're going to find a target. Akashi. That's a big boy. But Akashi's casually walking out of there. Savage, he doesn't have the damage on his own. He needs some help here. They'll roar up Savage. The ward dropped as well. Savage in big trouble. He's got no secondary life either. Savage is gone. No buyback on the Doom as now Akashi moves back in. Jokam is gone. WS being targeted. Akashi barely alive. Trying to run out of the Wukongs. Will make it out for now, but not for long as Cuckoo. Cuckoo secures the kill. He gets it with a deluge. So Akashi down thanks to Cuckoo. A perfect song, lining them up. Boundless gonna land on 2. They might lose at least his Shaman, but they are continuing the fight. He's trying to do with WS on the Timber. Cuckoo again going forward onto the Shaman. Is probably gonna find Jing. Meanwhile, WS is dying. Cuckoo finally shackled up. Meanwhile, Raven now getting chased down by Makoto. The Makoto, he's been controlled.
Makoto?
Makoto's been controlled. Cuckoo, the last survivor, he'll make it out. But they actually won the team fight.
Oh, what a mess. What a mess for Talon. A big win for Nemesis again. As Talon overcommit, and Savage runs in by himself. The rest of his team not ready to back him up. You do have that Blink song ready on Cuckoo at the least, but again, the timing's just not right. That overcommittal to chase the Tiny past the tier 2 costs Talon. They lose their advantage. Nemesis in control, or at least evening out the game here. As you are seeing the difference it makes when they can find the angles they'd want with all these blinks up. Yeah, you lose your Tiny. It's still a little bit of a pain, but you lose 4 on Talon. That just takes it all away. And you look at the position they're taking in this fight. McClutter's not even in the area. He's walking through the bot jungle when Savage jumped in. Like, they were not ready on Talon for that move. And that big disconnect just cutting everything off. And Talon, they need to play as a unit.
Times are getting quite scary here, John. Like, yeah, that was a big error from 23 Savage. Just not ready with the whole team, but oh boy, I mean, things are getting a little bit tense now in this game 3. So Talon, it felt like they had a clear advantage. They've kind of closed the gap very well now as Nemesis. And my main concern, if you're Talon, is you are now approaching that point where this POS 1 Tiny is becoming a pretty big issue. And it's not even kind of maxed out yet. It's getting there. He's not done, John. He's got plenty of room to go. He hasn't even got a Daedalus up yet.
No, he has the Revenant's Brooch up, though. You don't tend to overstack that, at the least.
Never mind.
So, that's... I can see a little bit more. Maybe the Swift Blink coming out. I think that's the next step. Perhaps an Axe. But we don't tend to see the Axe. A Harpoon would be nice as well, just to get control. My concern when you go all in on Revenants, though, with BKBs up, the only thing that will kill are supports. Like 6 seconds, even at the lowest duration, is enough for them to turn on you with your magical damage. And you have to remember, BKBs do provide 60% magic resist as well. So that cuts through, that converts your damage out. It's out of the window for that. So it can be a little bit back and forth depending on the timing here from Akashi. I have to see 2K advantage for Talon, negligible at 38 minutes in. It does feel like we're setting our eyes now for Roshan, which, again, for this draft in Nemesis, they take Rosh a lot quicker. They've got damage for that Tiny. They've got damage with his Batrider, and Mac is going Mac for the Shard now with the Lincolns to protect him. Even the double War now available for Raven. Talon are not set for this. They don't have any Lincolns. They only have the one Lotus Orb up. They don't have their own refresh for, say, double Doom here on Savage. This is a bad spot to be in for Talon. This is in control now for Nemesis, despite this 2K disadvantage. They are set. If they find this angle with the smoke, if Roche spawns fast, that opens up the high ground completely.
Oh, Kashi's moving in. Eris will move in first. Kodo, Cuckoo, he's going to get spotted. They'd love the Naga Siren first, and they will move in. Cuckoo, deleted immediately. Buyback available. They won't rush in for more. They're having a look for Roshan. Roshan, not going to be an early timer, though, sadly, for the side of Nemesis. So Cuckoo should be available by the time Roshan's about to spawn. Unless they can find more kills. WS now getting caught out. Mid-chain. They will stun him up with the Avalanche and the toss. Even Jokam now caught in the Serpent Wards and probably is going to be targeted. But he will go into the ethereal form, but it may not matter. Meanwhile, Doom now Savage. He jumps in on a map, but it's still not looking good for Talon. They're falling like flies left, right, and center. Here comes Makoto with the Wukong Timber trying to salvage. WS, though, is down. They've lost the Timber, but they found Akashi.
Well, Akashi.
They've taken Akashi down to the Tiny. Chase on for another. They want to find at least Jing on the Shaman, and Cuckoo, he'll blink in. Finds the Shaman. It does cost them a few buybacks to make that team fight work. But Talon, they still make it happen.
That they do. They find the bigger kills in the end. They lose a little bit more. The buybacks not being there in the supports does make it pretty spooky for Talon, as these supports have been dying fast as what we've seen.
Oh, Savage? Savage? He's okay for now. We'll use the Outward Staff, but he's not going to be okay for long unless there's some help coming. And then it is Cuckoo. He's going to make his appearance, but Savage is down. That's a big loss. I mean, Roshan's up right now. Cuckoo in trouble as well. Cuckoo trying to get away, but there's no way out. They just gave up Roshan.
What is this?
Stupid.
They just lost Roshan. just because they wanted to farm that top lane.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, Nemesis should have that. The respawns are really short as well. And again, the itemization here in Nemesis is just so smart. The double roar from Raven doing a ton of work. The Lincolns from Mac, that protection from the Doom is massive. Roche does not take long. At least it's a daytime Roche, so they have to walk across the map.
Max got the Plasma now, John.
Looking? Oh, yeah, this
He's
is
got
when it
the
gets
full
fun.
Plasma up. Yeah. So things start to feel really dumb. I mean, Mac, if you watch him in the middle of the fights, he's doing a crap ton of damage. If he's allowed to stand there with his BKB, it's a stupid amount once he gets his stacks going. And
look at his rush.
I don't know, man. Talon, there's been a couple fights recently where it's like, well, now it's almost like you don't want Tia. DOTA plus flipping 55% for Nemesis now, John. It's been a very close affair as Makoto also caught. Jing finding another primary target. Jing on this Shaman. The bane of Talon's existence this game 3.
And he is. And that's really just full Roshan going your way. Doesn't take long. You've got the output. Secondary life up for Mac.
And an apt. Gaven's blessing as well.
Yeah, Gaven's blessing on top of it with a bottle. I mean, Talon, this is dire straits. This is the point of the game you didn't want to hit. You don't have your own refreshes. You don't have Lincolns. You have only one Lotus. You have nothing to protect from debuffing immunity piercing, which you have in spades here for the side of Nemesis.
Mac,
I know, this is scary.
Mac buys shards. There you go. He queues it up. Thank God for that. He buys it.
He went back for the Lincolns. He went back for the Lincolns for Aspen first. He was queuing it up for a while.
Okay.
He opted for the other items. So,
We're going high ground now, John. He needs the shards. Right? It's shards time.
This would be a lot quicker.
Bought it out.
Yeah.
He hasn't got buyback gold, mind you, John, which is kind of scary, but they're onto the racks. That's still a lot of damage from this Bat Rider, even without the shards up. But now the shards will connect. Structures suddenly get sticky napalmed. How great's this, ladies and gentlemen? Bat Rider is sieging on his own, as he does. There goes your racks. And now Talon 1 racks behind in game 3 of this upper bracket final. On the road to TI, Jonathan. Nemesis.
It's a big moment.
They're very close here, John. Nemesis. Very, very close.
They're in cruise control now. I'd say. For Talon, the approach angles are so hard. And they did that to themselves. They're just playing hastily. Savage getting ahead of himself. Too far ahead of himself. Is going back for refresh. Double Doom might make a difference. And you have to watch again for that Lincoln's up on Max. So it has to be Raven that gets the chopping block and Akashi. We'll see a smoke on smoke scenario. Talon trying to fight outside. This is do or die. You lose this fight, it's over. You have some buyback, sure, but your support's stoned.
This is the team nobody wanted, John. These are the players nobody wanted. And now they're just one good fight away from TI. How vindicating would it feel for Nemesis to know they're going to TI first over any other SCA team? It'd be amazing right now. They're not there yet, but they're pretty damn close. The smoke, the Moonlight Shadow, it's amounting to nothing yet. They're just preempting the Talon and trying to smoke into them, which they were. But Talon, not feeling confident, will retreat. It seems like Nemesis, they'll start to slowly move up. Slowly but surely. Watch Mac. I mean, Mac's going to be hidden like a truck. You've got to be careful. If they can kill this Bat Rider, it'd be a fantastic way to start a fight. But you got to do with 2 lives here on this Bat. And, yeah, I mean, things are only set to go worse, by the way, John. He is queuing up a Swift Link on this Bat Rider, so it's not going to get too much better as time goes on.
Like, I'm not sure what Talon's expecting when your tier 4s are just being sieged by the creeps and no one's there to push back. Of course, Nemesis would play it safe. Very optimistic of them to hang back. Even the arrow to scout out now from Eris. Spots out Cuckoo. They get that long-range stun, so they hug that position for too long. They just have to give out the tier 2. The issue is, again, how do you initiate from Talon? It's got to be a really good Doom out from Savage. High ground is not particularly amazing for Talon. There's no good set of tree lines. I mean, it's Bat Rider with Shard, right? It really doesn't take long with his build, with his facet. It's insane.
It's fast.
This is going.
Talon.
They could go tier 4s after one good fight. Talon has to be so careful.
You don't want to go lower bracket, Talon, but you got to do something. You've got to do something. WS, be careful, sir. He'll Lotus Orb and walk away. Tier 3 tower already gone. Looking for their secondary barracks here is Nemesis. One good fight from TI. That's all they need, John. One good fight. Mac will keep going. There's the jump in. WS is going to try and burst down the bat the first time, but it does not work. Mac will survive. And that's the game plan. Keep Mac alive. That's what you got to do right now if you're Nemesis. Do not let that man die. He'll jump in again. BKB pop. Akashi, he's in as well. Refresh, trying to blow up WS, and he's got him. No, he hasn't. WS with the outworld stuff. He survived a little bit, but they finally take him down. He's got buyback though. He'll come back into the fight immediately as Savage jumping in. Refreshes. He got 2-man onto Raven. Meanwhile, WS jumping in, trying to find Max. Will find at least the back. For the first life, that is. Secondary life incoming is Akashi. He's going to jump onto Makoto, but Makoto balances out of there. Akashi still going. WS now in trouble. They're looking for the dieback. Savage to jump in. Raven, he's doomed up a second time with the toss in. They're still trying for the timber. WS is gone. Now onto Savage they go. The Doom in trouble. Surely to die. They'll find Raven, but Savage is down. He'll buy back as well. Makoto now in danger. Makoto to go down to boot. Buyback is available for the MK, but it's 3 versus 4. 2 versus 4. Nemesis 2 versus 5. They've got it. Nemesis surely going to TI here this year. Talon trying to defend one last time. Savage, he'll jump in, but it's all for naught. Nemesis, GG has called. They've done it. They have done it. Mac on a rampage. They've got TI. Akashi even says it qualified. Oh, can you believe it? Can you believe that, Jonathan?
I can, and we've been talking about it. You told me I was overselling it yesterday, Mike. What did I tell you? Nemesis, not to be taken for granted. And they're dancing, they're celebrating the team, the all Pinoy rejects, the players that couldn't find a team after leaving their teams, gathered together in this new org, and they get to move on. They beat Talon in spectacular fashion. And for Team Nemesis, what a journey.
Oh my.
What a journey for them on this road to the International. The first slot going to Nemesis. Talon has to scrape it out with Boomer Execration, and that is not going to be fun. And yeah, I mean, how can you? But I think this team should have that confidence going in. They were winning everything in the back. The scrims were going well. And this team just catches everyone by surprise. Spectacular performance out from the side of Nemesis. Talon falls short. And they were having such a good game too, a decent start in game 3, but moments like this, where Savage just goes in by himself, only WS to really back him up. Like, well, there's a little bit of a disconnect here in town. There's a little bit of pressure. And this is a team that you'd expect to play better under pressure, and it's certainly not the case here.
Oh my.
A massive loss for Talon, but again, Nemesis, damn.
How many new timers have we got here? We've got Max never been to TI. I believe. Jing's never been to TI. No, Jing's never been to TI either.
Has. Yeah, Eris hasn't.
Eris has. So you got 3 out of 5 players never been to TI. It's their first
4. I believe it's 4. It's only Akashi that's been there, right? With Talon. Raven, yeah, 4. Raven has been, right? So 3
Raven's
out of 5.
Definitely been to TI.
Yeah, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. So it's still massive. Oh man, and for Raven, it's a return after a drought. How long has he been out of TI? Feels like a little bit of a
long time
for good old Raven. Oh my goodness, what a storyline for Nemesis. My heart's racing. That was insane. I'm so happy for these guys. They proved their point. The rejects, Mike. You know, Mac got kicked from Boom. Where's Boom at now? They could lose to Execration tomorrow. They're not guaranteed. Akashi got removed from Talon a year back. He's going to TI already. Talon's going to have to take that second seat in a very brutal lower bracket final tomorrow.
Oh my.
And my goodness, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But honestly, I somewhat expected. You know, talking with a few guys in town, they were like, you know, we're kind of losing to Nemesis, and they win out. Man, this team is just scary. With how they draft, with the one team that can make the carry timing work, Mikey. Maybe that's key. Having a player that can actually play that flex to a great degree as well.
He's the only guy. He's the only guy I trusted, Jonathan, on this POS 1 Tiny. I said it many times. The only man was Akashi, and he made it happen. I mean, personally, I think obviously it was a massive team effort. I think the standout play is going to be very hard to pick this game, John, from Nemesis, because it was, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fantastic plays here. I mean, Jing on the Shaman was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Then you had Mac on this bat who lost lane somehow against MK, but then ends up making a comeback anyway, just dragging out the game. And of course, the man himself, Akashi on this Pos 1 Tiny, the only guy that seems to be able to make this damn hero work.
Yeah.
At least in this region.
It all connects together. At least here, all connects together. And man, to outplay Talon like this, massive. Talon as well, again, I mean, they're going to have to look in that lower bracket, but what a performance out from Team Nemesis, taking it 2-1. If I had to call a standout player, oh, it's so difficult, but the easiest one to say is Mac, but I feel like this falls apart if no one, if you're not connecting with everyone. If you weren't getting the good Moonlights, the good arrows from Eris, like we saw that interrupt in WS, the good Shackles coming out from Jing, this build up on Raven to go for that fast refresh, it's hard to say. The easiest one, again, is Mac, just because he made the Bat Rider work. His laning was not as good as you'd want it to be, but he recovers, he delivers the goods. He was finding good lassos. That big lasso on Mikado, when they broke the smoke and he got stunned, still found the angle. Like, that opened up the game massively for the side of Nemesis. And, man, what a storyline for them. I mean, I think, you know, the closest Mac got to TI was what? Wild card qualifiers when we had that, you know, in Singapore? I think that was the closest.
Polaris, was it?
He was there, yeah. Polaris made it there. So that was the closest they got, but man, to finally get TI for 3 of these players, insane. I'm so happy. The Cuckoos are all cheering away. And you know what that means for Talon as well? What did Talon lose to? 5 Pinoys.
That's right. That is right. That's what I've been waiting for. I'm waiting for you to just stop talking here, John, because the main point is, once again, Savage proven incorrect, John. Maybe one